The time is 6:35. Regular meeting, City of Dilly, City Council, November 12th, 2024. Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Dilly, Texas will conduct a special meeting on Tuesday, November the 12th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall Convention Center, building located at 116 East Miller, Dilly, Texas 78017. The following items to be considered. 1, call meeting to order. Roll call, please. Minelda Rodriguez, council member, place 1.
Ray Aranda, place 2.
Alisa Machado, place 3.
Alexandria Inocencio, council member, place 4.
Rudy Alvarez, council member, place 5.
Natasha Prado, City Secretary.
Henry Arredondo, city administrator.
Mary Ann Obregon, mayor. Thank you. Will everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States and Texas flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Item 4, invocation by Mr. Arredondo.
As we gather here tonight in the city of Dilley, Texas, we are grateful for the opportunity to come together as a community. We invoke the spirit of wisdom and understanding to guide our deliberations during this council meeting. May we approach our discussions with open hearts and minds, seeking the common good and the betterment of our city and its residents. Let us remember the responsibilities entrusted to us as stewards of this community, and may we make decisions that reflect integrity, fairness, and compassion. As we address the issues before us, may we be mindful of the diverse needs and perspectives of all our citizens, striving to create a city that is inclusive and supportive of every individual. In times of disagreement, may we find common ground and work together toward solutions that benefit the greater good of Dilley. May this meeting be conducted with civility, respect, and commitment to collaboration. We ask for blessings upon this gathering and upon the city of Dilley, Texas. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Moving on to item number 5, citizens to be heard. This is the opportunity for citizens, visitors, and guests to address the city council on any issue or any item of the agenda. In compliance with LGC section 551.007, city council may not discuss any presented issue, nor may any action be taken on any issue at this time. Citizens to be heard are limited to 3 minutes each. Attorney General opinion -JC-0169. Moving on to item 6, consent
We have no
agenda.
citizens.
I'm sorry.
we
Do
have
we
no
have
c-
any,
There's no citizens.
there's no citizens to be heard. Thank you. Item 6, consent agenda, discuss, consider, and act on the following items. A, approve minutes of the October 15, 2024 special meeting. It'll be B, review of city bills. C, approve employee incentives for the month of October 2024. Anyone? Approve the minutes. When you're ready for approval of minutes, please.
There's no incentives this month?
No, there's no incentives.
Are the bills in here?
I left them in the copier. I got the report today. Let me get the copy.
Would you like to see it?
Yeah, the bills aren't in here.
The bills are not?
Mm-mm.
They weren't hers.
Anyone ready
Mayor,
for a
there's no-
motion?
Mayor, I'm sorry, Mayor, there's no question. I move that we approve the items on consent agenda, item A, B, and C as presented.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Aranda.
I
No
second.
questions?
I second.
Approve A, B, and C?
Yes.
Okay, second by Ms. Rodriguez. You know that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item 7, department reports submitted for informational purposes only. A, library report. B, court report. C, city secretary report. City administrator report oral. E, police department report. F, public works department report. G, engineering report. Anyone?
Mayor and Council, I have Miranda Morse to present the library report.
Hi, I'm Miranda Morris. I'm the library aide. I'm going to be presenting the October report for Ashton Salinas, the library director. She's out at the moment. So for Halloween, we had 2 events. One that we participated in with the city, the trunk or treat. We just passed out candy to the children in the community. And then the following day, the Little Pups Daycare, we passed out goodie bags. And we had a member of the community who needed to do community service, so she actually prepared the goodie bags for that. And then for the reading material for this month, we've still been inputting reading material into the system, from children's books to fiction. And we've had a lot of donations from the community as well. And I just put out a flyer in front of the city hall, so that way people can know that we have free books in the back of the library, because not a lot of people see it. So we've just been inputting those. And then the private rooms have been getting utilized as well a lot. We've had Jennifer Rios with United Health, who is Marketplace Health. And we also have been having St. Jude's Ranch for children out of, I think, New Braunfels. They've been coming every Thursday, and they've been meeting with families there, so they've been utilizing a lot of the library resources as well. And that's pretty much it for October. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, anything? Okay, is there anything on the other B, C, D through G?
Mayor and Council, in regards to the city secretary report, I passed out the flyer for the upcoming parade that is scheduled for Friday, December 6th, for the annual Christmas lighting and parade. And also I gave a second handout for upcoming events, in which November 14th, this Thursday, we'll have the Thanksgiving luncheon scheduled from 12 to 1:30 p.m. And then November 25th, of this month, on Monday, we will have a turkey giveaway with the police department. And December 6th would be our annual Christmas parade and lighting. And then December 13th would be our Employee Appreciation Christmas Party. And then December 19th would be the City and Police Department toy giveaway that they normally do out by the football field, and which we give out the presents and end it with a Christmas movie for it. Those are the upcoming events that we have gotten. Also, I have been making contacts with local businesses, with the schools, in regards to trying to get more people to participate in the parade. Right now, we have a total of 5 floats, and we're working on getting more. Businesses have been calling back in regards to the registration form to fill out. So hopefully we'll have a good outcome for the parade.
Thank you. Council?
So, Mayor and Council, on November the 1st, I received a letter from Commissioner of Agriculture Sid Miller. It says, "Howdy neighbors, congratulations. Dilly has been awarded a $500,000 grant by the Texas Department of Agriculture for application CDV 23-0482 for the CDBG Community Development Fund year 2023 funding opportunity. A grant agreement is being prepared for this project. To view project details, please log into TDA Go."
Great.
And on November the 4th, I received another communication, this one from Texas General Land Office Commissioner Don Buckingham. Honorable Mayor Mary Ann Obregon, notice of eligibility, Regional Mitigation Program, application 2022-100642 RPM. Dear Mayor Obregon, thank you for applying to the Regional Mitigation Program. The Texas General Land Office has reviewed the City of Diddley's application and determined it is to be eligible for the Community Development Block Grant mitigation funding for the following project. Project title, City of Diddley Water Well Improvements. The amount, $2,134,900. This notice of eligibility confirms that the identified projects are eligible for CDBG MIT funding, and agreements will be coming forth for execution. And on November the 8th, we came out on the Texas Government Insider magazine. And it doesn't have a page number, but I put a little sticky there. It says the City of Diddley will receive $2.1 million to build a water well, install a pump and motor, electrical controls, and a generator.
Yes.
On November the 1st, I received from Adriana Cruz. She is the Executive Director for the Texas Economic Development and Tourism of the Office of the Governor. It says, "Dear Texas Economic Development Partner, is your community interested in hosting a Governor Small Business Summit next year? We will soon be deciding the 2025 Governor Small Business Summit locations and invite you to complete the community interest form so your community can be considered. Our office hosts 15 summits across the state each year to connect small business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs with the resources they need to succeed." So I conferred with the mayor. She said go for it, so I submitted our application for it, see if we get invited to. And if we get selected, we'll host probably the summit here. And we'll invite partners from around the region, and then to come and we'll host this summit here. Currently, we are, the auditors have already signed, the new auditors have signed the engagement. They're working with Leanne Pyatt, and Leanne is working with us and to get the documents for the audit. Our new auditors, either they'll be coming in late November or probably December, and then they'll start reviewing our past fiscal year's requirement.
Great.
The partner that I'm working with is Eli Mendoza from Garza Gonzalez and Associates. With TDCJ, Macy Hodge, which is a contract specialist, submitted and executed the MOU. helps with the project that we're going to be undertaking at the prison, the sewer treatment plant. So that's already been executed. And, okay, today, Rudy informed me that we had a motor that went out at our Civic Center well. So, now it can't all be good news, right? So we're dealing with that. Rudy's already contacted our well vendor, so they're looking into it. Good thing they have an extra motor. Okay. Okay. To get repaired. Okay. And then we're still dealing with the well at the prison. So it is probably scheduled for Thursday. Thursday. And Premier Engineering has helped us with the schematics on the electrical, because that's also, sometimes can be an issue, because the electrical system out there has been out there for 30 years, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, but, yeah.
Was it an old motor?
Since
that broke
1990.
down?
No, actually, the motor, actually the motor's not bad, and the pump is not bad. It's just we need to go deeper, and we need a thinner pump. So that's the issue there. But
That's at the prison.
that's at the prison. At the
What
prison
about
well.
at the water well?
So the Phelps well, that we haven't had any issues since we
Thank
fixed that.
goodness.
I think last year. That's when we had, like every 3 months we were having issues with that. That hasn't. No, we haven't had an issue with that. The Civic Center, the motor went out, and then we replaced it.
Was that an old motor?
That one
That
was,
one.
because on that one, I believe we replaced the pump, but not the motor, yeah. So, and that's all that's, so we're addressing the issues.
Is there maintenance? Do we have a maintenance? Do they require maintenance?
The motors,
The maintenance.
just wear and tear, yeah.
No maintenance?
No. That's a spare part, yeah.
The what?
So the one that got burnt, they're gonna take it to San Antonio and have it rewound, kind of like rebuilt, so to have it available on hand.
What about Mr. Castillo? He has to be put on the agenda last time.
Mr. Castillo.
Baby.
I denied it.
Why? Do you know what it was?
Sorry, what?
We know what it was that he wanted to talk about?
The same issue to that truck that was removed from his place. And there were issues here that I felt had nothing to do with us. It was something that legally it had to go through the police department.
Okay.
Anything else? Chief?
Mayor, Council, good evening. So at the PD, we've been staying busy. We have a lot of end-of-year reports that we've been submitting. You should be getting those weekly in our weekly reports that we do send out via email. We did have a spike in calls this month. Last month, we had a surprisingly low amount of calls. We had 51 calls. This month, we had 107 calls. We just continue to stay busy prepping cases and stuff like that for the county attorney and district attorney's office. Some of the events that we have been participating throughout last month and future events, we did participate in Red Ribbon Week. That was various days throughout the weeks of October. We did provide over 600 bags for Red Ribbon with the goodies in there for the school campuses. Participated in that trunk or treat, or citywide trunk or treat, Little Pups Daycare candy bags. And one thing we always do is the school district has a daycare that has reached out to me several, it's been a few years. They always kind of feel left out, so we always go out there and give them some candy bags and stuff like that. We already have them from when we order for our annual stuff, so we go out there and we help them out. We did do some of the homecoming festivities. Natasha touched briefly on our turkey giveaways and our toy giveaways that are coming up. And November 21st, we also are going to assist the school daycare in providing Lunchable and fruits for their, I guess they're having Parents' Day or something like that. But other than that, I mean, just a lot of reports and stuff like that. And of course, those get sent out in y'all's weekly reports. So, any questions?
Can you prepare a report for us? I know there was questions regarding Pearsall as to what's submitted to DA and what's coming back. You know what I'm talking about, right? Can you send us a report with, on?
So you want a report on cases that have been submitted to the county attorney and district
Yes.
attorney's office? We can do that. Yeah.
Just to see what our numbers are.
Okay, yeah, that's something we can do. Yeah, definitely. It's gonna take some time, but we
No,
gotta
I
go,
mean,
yeah.
And I don't want a detailed report, but just something like, hey, we submitted
Yeah.
20 cases, 10 of them were prosecuted, 10 of them didn't have whatever was,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
just a basic
I can do that.
report.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Basic.
definitely.
yeah.
I know, this month, we do got a bunch of cases going out, so, I mean, I can get all that,
Mhm.
that stuff. And, like I tell everybody, we prep the case, we make the arrest, we send off our case, and then, it's up to prosecution and the judges, however that case goes in trial, so.
Yeah.
We might not have all the info as far as like the outcome of the cases, but I definitely have the numbers of the cases that have been submitted. Any other questions?
No. Thank you. Moving on, do we have any Public Works Department? Engineering?
We got Manuel Gonzalez with Premier Engineering. If you have any updates for the prison project or?
An update would be, we did go and do a site visit to the water well there at the prison. They had failed, I think, about a week or two ago. We brought our electrical engineer to do an assessment because we were going to switch out the pump and put a larger pump. Wanted to make sure that the wiring and the cabling that was there was adequate. He did provide us a line diagram, and it does require an upgrade to the wiring to be able for us to go to a bigger pump. But they're already now working on that. So that's the report we have.
The restrooms were used this last weekend.
Yes, those have been completed, and the contractor sent us that they've completed the punch list items that we had provided them, and we're gonna have our staff go and check off on the punch list items that we had given them. There were some items that we had requested that were part of the plans that we had on there, and they hadn't been put, so we did ask them to go back and install those
And
items.
that has been done now?
Yes. Well, that's
They
what.
look good.
Yes, they're complete. So we'll do an inspection and we'll
Huh?
submit.
When
No,
are they gonna
no, they
pick
look
up all
good,
the
they
debris
function
that-
good,
There's
they're
still
clean.
piles, I mean, stacks of brick that is still sitting there.
Yes. So we'll provide them since they've already indicated to us that they're done with the punch list items, we'll let them know that they need to clean up the project site before we can, finally accept it, and they'll be sending in invoicing for the work that they've completed, and we'll bring it to council so we can review that and then make an assessment or a decision on the payment for that. But they do need to clean up the site before we accept the project.
And what about the penalty for taking so long?
The penalty, we do have the dates that, for that, the time that they took. He did mention to us that he had some items that he wanted it to be considered. I told him that he needed to provide it to us in writing so that we can then take a look at them and see if they would be considered, and then we can then maybe bring them to council so then we can make a decision whether they're going to be considered or not.
Up until today, the trash is still there. I mean, all of that extra construction stuff is still there. So the penalty's still ongoing, as far as I'm concerned.
It's not
It hasn't
finished
finished.
until,
Yeah. It's still out there.
Okay. We'll send them something in writing so that they know that they need to come clean up the site, and then so that they can pick up all the construction debris that's left over there, so they can leave the job site I guess presentable, so that the community can start, they've used it, but so they can use it without there being any additional excess materials that they need to be removed. Okay. Any other questions?
Any other questions? No?
Thank
No.
you.
Thank you very much.
Regarding the restrooms are, they're not even being open during the day. They're basically closed. Veterans Day, the restrooms that close the whole day.
on both, or,
Well, the back park is fenced in, but the park, the restrooms are locked.
even here by the baseball field?
Yeah, they're
But-
locked.
Well, yeah, no, we need bathrooms. But is that the builders, or is that us?
That's up to
No,
us.
That's
really-
us.
Or-
You have the keys for the restrooms? Okay.
Okay. So that's something that the city will then, like the hours on when we're gonna keep it open or we're gonna keep it closed. Maybe at a certain time in the evening, we can go and close them, just so that they're not,
Vandalized.
yeah, there's not any damages to it. But, yeah, that'll be on, I guess, once they've cleaned up, we'll be able to open at certain hours.
Okay,
Yeah, they'll have to clean that.
okay, that's fine, thank you. Police, property, works engineering, that's it, right off for the engineering. All right, moving on to item number 8. Discuss, consider RV park permit issued pursuant to ordinance number 11-01-18 to Daniel Martinez at 108 West Kinsel Street.
On that item, Mayor, I requested it. There are several neighbors concerned regarding that permit. Years ago, the city passed an RV ordinance because there was issues where it got out of control. During the oil boom years ago, people
2014.
wanted RVs in their driveways, their backyards, everywhere they could put an RV. So the city's granted Daniel a permit to operate an RV park, but he does not meet the requirements under that ordinance to operate an RV park.
So, why was it issued? Now, if you would think the first thing you do is look at the ordinance to see if they meet the requirements.
I mean, the
And they
property,
issued a permit that's already been issued?
he's operating an RV park. So he does own 1.3 acres, but on that 1.3, there is a residence, there is also an apartment complex, there's that barbecue shop so all of that takes away from the 1 acre minimum requirement. So on the 1 acre minimum, he doesn't even meet that requirement.
Where is this? Across from what? Huh?
Yeah, in front of where Mr. Machado used to live.
You know, the apartments that Miss Asher had, the house that she had?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then there was a little green apartment that they built that duplex.
Oh, here, where, by the school?
Yeah.
Yes.
So he built a duplex, and I'm thinking that he owns the property behind the duplex?
He owns
All
he
of it.
owns the home, but the home is a separate property. And then he owns the,
What Mr. Martinez has informed was that he owns the whole block. That whole block, he
no,
purchased it.
he doesn't own the whole block because the home where Mr. Moore used to live, you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the one
That home is a separate property. Then he owns this part where there's a house and there's an apartment complex here, and then there's the barbecue shop that was here. He owns that, but he does not own this part. This part is owned by, he used to be the director of South Texas Rural Health. Alfredo Zamora owns the bottom part. He does not own the whole part. And I got that information from the appraisal district. It's owned by Alfredo Zamora.
Who's that?
Alfredo Zamora.
Alfredo Zamora, he's very well known.
He's from Cotulla.
He's
So
from
just-
Cotulla.
One of the items here is.
Anyway, it shouldn't have been issued unless it meets all the requirements, or.
Well, it says, so it's section 12, grandfathered RV parks and change of ownership. RV parks in existence prior to the adoption of this ordinance are grandfathered. Upon the change of controlling interest of a grandfather RV park, the new owner shall immediately bring the existing RV park to meet the requirements of this ordinance.
So there was an
It wasn't
RV park
RV
there.
It was a mobile home park.
Yeah.
It was a mobile, it was never an RV park.
Well, there's RV stalls there.
It
When-
was mobile homes.
In regards to the RV ord,
Are you talking between,
Yeah, the RV slots have been there for a long.
in regards to the RV ordinance, I had checked with Molly a while back, and when it first came out, and in which it should have gone to council. In the RV ordinance, it only comes to council if the city denies the permit, then the customer will have to come in and put it in writing for council to do the final approval. But other than that, if they have met the requirements, which he did start off with a higher RV count, but he's put it down to 7, and he did do the requirements of the measurements of in between the RV, between the RVs, and he did put in, and it's attached, is his his layout and his property detail, in which it was a 1.3590, in which he has it all open. He doesn't have it secluded in regards to of the permit, and which he owns lot.
But out of that 1.35 acres, there's a residence and there's an apartment complex that sit in there. So he doesn't meet the minimum
Are you
1 acre
talking about the
requirement.
duplex? Because
Yes.
it's all within that, I'm sorry, it's all within there, there's no separation. The house is separated because it has a fence
There's
along
two
it.
houses.
But in regards to that whole area, that right there that he has it, it's all open, and he has enough space in between from where he has put the RVs to where the duplex is,
He
to where
does-
the duplex has the parking area as well as the RV.
He does have enough space, but it's not the space required by the ordinance. He needs a 1 acre minimum.
The part that's not being occupied by buildings and all that,
Yeah.
it should be 1
But see,
acre.
that's not fully stated in the RV
Yeah.
ordinance.
It says 1
It-
acre minimum in
yes.
the RV ordinance.
So the 1 acre minimum could apply to the whole lot of land. It doesn't specify that the 1 acre minimum should be devoted solely to the RV spots. If y'all feel that it should be revised, we can revise it at this time, but that would affect future RV parks?
But even
or-
then, this should have come to council prior to a permit because he wasn't grandfathered in. A grandfathered in it wasn't an existing RV park when he bought it. So he came in to apply for a new permit. It wasn't a transfer of permit, it was a new permit.
But again, sir, in the RV ordinance, it stated that the city is the one who issues out the permit, not the council. Only if the city denies the permit, then they come to council. And as far as zoning, he is in the zoning E, which I do have here. Where he has the RV park, and it's under zone E, which I believe is the retail business
District.
Natasha, give one to the chief. Thank you.
Because this zoning map has not been updated in several years. So it lies under, where he's at, it is under is in
Commercial.
commercial retail business district E.
So you're saying that anyone in that district can have an RV anywhere?
Well, if they have 1 acre of land. Council can also direct a revision of the ordinance if you would like to be able to see it before it gets passed in future cases, so where it would not have to be denied by staff before it would get to council. Council can have a more proactive role in it if you would like to revise the ordinance to say so.
So Mayor, Council, really quick, this issue was brought to me today, and we were going over through the ordinance and stuff like that. My question was to the city manager is, what is the direct complaint on the RV park itself? Like, are we having one specific issue happening with it? Because at that point, then we can send somebody and investigate that direct complaint and make sure it's brought up to par and it falls within the guidelines of the ordinance. I also do want to note that most of our city ordinance are probably way out of date. They're extremely old and haven't been revised in many, many years. I had a similar issue with a burning ordinance that we had, and I had to forward the information to Molly, and Molly did tell me that a bunch of our ordinances do have that gray area where it's not listed black and white as to what the city is specifically asking for. So therefore, I mean, I had to, I had no case on that issue. I think we as a city need to come together and review our ordinances and bring them up to par. And if y'all would like more involvement in stuff like that, definitely include that. Hey, you know, council would have the final say on the permits and stuff like that. But as far as my thing is, so that I can send our code enforcement, which is Vanessa, if we have a direct complaint that we need to fix as far as, you know, violations, then we could definitely send her out there and say, hey, you're not in compliance with this ordinance. This is what you're lacking. But as far as right now, I mean, to my understanding, the permit has been issued based on that it's been grandfathered. I'm not sure what it was before, but I do see they have multiple, you know, sewer outlets and water and boxes for, so one can assume that it was used as an RV park, but it could have been used for something else. I'm not too sure.
There's no trailers on there anymore?
So the trailers that y'all were asking about are the ones more on Kenzo, and those belong to a gentleman from Cotula, which
Those
is
are
what
under
Mr.
Zamora.
Aranda was,
Mr. Zamora
yeah.
owns them.
And he's also selling that property as well, so. Yeah.
The RVs are in front of it. The trailers are behind that.
Well, I can see issuing the permit without coming to the council if they meet all the requirements. And I mean, if it's 1.3 and half of it is taken out by existing buildings, then it doesn't meet that one. If it's grandfathered in with less than the 1 acre, then, but, you know, there's an argument to be made that it wasn't grandfathered because nobody had a permit there for probably the last 10 years. Or 8, right?
But even at then, like our attorney was saying, our ordinance, to my understanding, doesn't state like, hey, it has to be 1 acre specifically for your RV park to not include any other buildings.
Well, I mean, I think we can assume that if there's a big building there, it's
Well,
not be.
we can
for
make
the RV.
assumptions, but like he can assume that, hey, I can have my house
So
here and still have
It goes
my.
back to where if you own an acre, but if you have enough space in your driveway to put in an RV, we're gonna issue a permit, because, hey, you can put it in that driveway because you own an RV, an acre.
Well,
No,
Depending on the
If
zoning.
you go look at the situations, Ray, really go around town.
Mhm.
You've got trailer houses next to trailer houses, and they were put in, and nobody made an issue of it.
And no, they're not supposed to be
So,
there.
right, they're not, but nobody said, they didn't have to
We
get,
haven't.
you know, to get the permit to put it in, people are gonna do it. You know, 'cause like me, I can't put a little mobile home on the property, and I've got the space if I tear down my grandmother's house. But right now, there's no way I can put anything on there. When and if I do, then yeah, maybe I'll put in a carport and whatever. But there's trailer houses that you see, they're right there. Trailer houses here and trailer houses back there. And then it's never been, and again, they're mobile homes, they're not travel trailers.
But this is something else.
Yeah, but this isn't travel trailers or travel trailers, these are RVs. They're gonna come and go, they're not gonna stay there forever. And for whatever reason he put it there, it helps us, in reality.
Well, that's the concern. Mobile homes are there for maybe a month, months, or years. RV people come and go on a daily, weekly basis.
Right.
They're not there long-term, so you don't know who's living there. That's the neighbor's concern.
That's
Yeah.
why we should have an
So,
RV
but do
park
they have,
itself.
each one has a meter?
I don't know how they build that. I don't.
It's slots, and then it goes by the size, the size, the slots for the RVs, and then the size of the meter. Like
So do
they have a
each-
big,
each
a big
have a
meter
meter?
for those
Each
slots to
each
fill.
individual has a meter.
No,
No,
it's-
they're not required.
One
Oh, they're
meter
not
for all
required.
of them.
One large.
It's commercial, like 1 meter.
You only
meter.
have one
Because they
master.
come and go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in regards to the RV park, it is stated that there is supposed to be a full-time employee, a person who is responsible for maintenance of the RV park 7 days per week. This person may or may not be the owner of the RV park. So there is somebody there, which, as far as I know, I believe it's Daniel Martinez himself that is out there every day, or what I've seen.
And then just going back to the safety concern, I mean, we're always a phone call away, you know, if they have any concerns, we could do security checks and stuff throughout their, you know, for whatever. That was my deal when I asked the city manager, hey, what is their main concern? Like loud music, too much traffic going through, something that maybe that we can help and remedy, you know. But
What do you want to do?
This is a no action item. It was only to discuss and consider, but it's not an action item.
Okay.
What do you mean it's not an action item?
It's discuss and
You're not gonna- you're
consider.
not gonna- you're
It's
not
not
gonna-
an action.
Well,
Oh.
We cannot
But
put it
this
together
is for
tonight.
being
We
an
need to go
action
over it.
item.
So they didn't put act on it. Discuss and consider.
Discuss and consider.
Discuss,
It doesn't say-
consider,
it
and
doesn't say
And
act.
does it say an act?
And we
Is that right?
discuss and consider.
If
Leave
it's
the
on
word
the
act out
agenda,
of
we
there.
discuss.
It's not in
That,
there.
that I've never heard of, but I don't
They
know.
don't even put it.
If it's there for discussion and consideration, I think it's subject to a motion from the council.
Yes.
Whether it says an act. If the council wishes to.
Molly was the one who put the lettering for this item on number 8 for, just because it could only be for a discussion, because there is, in regards to the ordinance, the way it's stated, and the RV park permit has already been issued.
So she decided for us.
No,
That makes
it-
no
it-
sense.
It just, no, it's
Is your
because.
microphone on?
So, yes, it is on.
You know,
But the,
she's saying Molly already decided.
no, she didn't decide, but it stated the way the RV ordinance is and issuance of the RV park permit, it's very hard to take it out without having a lawsuit being brought upon the city.
Okay.
But she's not to decide, she's just the city attorney. She can't tell us what we can take action and not to take action on.
Absolutely.
That's,
She's going by the ordinance.
well, I
Yes.
know, but even then, she's only the city
Okay,
attorney.
well,
Okay, so please.
If they don't meet the requirements of the ordinance, then it's subject to
And
interpretation,
this guy
but
did meet
Oh.
the requirements of the ordinance.
I would like to hear what she has to say.
So by the terms of the ordinance, unfortunately, I can understand why staff passed it. He does meet the words of it, and unfortunately, that is all we have to go off of. I understand, Councilmember Alvarez, that it does seem that you could read into it that it should be 1 acre for devoted
right.
to the
Mhm.
devoted to the RVs.
yes.
Unfortunately, that's not the language that we
Well,
have
but
to
it's a
deal
matter of
with.
practicality, just like Ray was saying. You
Yeah.
could own 1 acre, but if half of it is occupied by something else, then
Uh,
you don't have an acre for the RV.
And-
That is for the use of an RV.
Unfortunately, what we have to work with legally,
Well,
we
you know,
can't-
I've
we-
never.
we can't
if-
take it away or do anything.
If the
so-
majority of the council does believes that it does not meet the requirements, and I know we're not attorneys, then we should undo it and let him sue. We have attorneys, they have attorneys. I mean, we can't be tie our hands behind our back because we're afraid that we're gonna be sued. Or else we wouldn't do anything, because anybody can sue anybody over anything.
So according to that, tomorrow I can come and request a permit and put in 10 RVs behind my house because I have 1.2 acres.
If it fits your,
You know,
if it
right?
fits your, if it fits your
That makes
zoning.
no sense.
If it fits the
Yeah,
zoning
but
and everything.
If you're a businessman and that's what you have and you want to do it, so why
But
not do
technically
it?
I don't because the house takes up,
But you do have the
We,
space. If you really
right
think
now,
about it,
as it's
you could
written,
put 3.
so you can't, so we would advise, and I believe that was Molly's intent, we would advise that you not act on this specific property, on this specific permit, but but you can act, you can direct either me and the city administrator to work together to provide revisions to this ordinance. So
Yes.
that future
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah, but they only apply to future,
Yes, and we can table this
well, no, because
issue
he has
till
to come
December
back
and,
reapply every January, doesn't he?
It's a renewal. It's like the jukebox and beer permit.
so, and we can table this issue to, if one of you would like to have an action on that specific permit at the next meeting, we can table that till December or put that on the agenda in December so that everybody has notice of that. And that would be advisable.
well, I mean, have somebody go over there and go over what's required, and if you say, okay, the permit was issued in error because it doesn't meet the requirements, if that's the case.
And that could be something we would want, as the city attorney, we would want to do a little bit more preparation for, to prepare everybody at the council for what that may entail. But for today, I would advise that we act on directing us to revise the ordinance.
Yes.
True. I mean, I heard you.
He had 5 and 3 left.
So, and to me, if they're gonna come and stay for 2 or 3 days or a week, whatever,
In and
they're
out.
gonna spend money here, going to the grocery store, they're gonna spend money going to the restaurant, they're gonna spend money, they're here and there. If he's monitoring them,
Yeah, and I think we shouldn't
You know, I mean, that's-
deny it because we object to the people who are living there.
Yeah, we
It's
don't
either
have, we don't
meets-
have any
it
right,
meets-
we don't know who's living there.
Yeah.
You know, the only person knows who's living there is him.
And I'm
and
sure he
I'm
doesn't
sure-
run a
and I'm
criminal
sure he's
check
not
before
gonna-
he rents that space out.
I'm sure he's not gonna rent it to just anybody.
Well, anybody who can pay for it.
Huh?
But that's business. But we shouldn't go by, we don't like the people living there. We should go by, does it meet the requirements of the ordinance? And I don't know
And
about,
as of right now, it does.
well, it depends on how you interpret it. He owns more than 1 acre.
Law-wise,
Huh?
according to the law.
Well, I don't believe that.
¿Cómo que no?
Because it's not, if there is not 1 acre available for an RV park, then it doesn't meet the requirement. If half of the space is occupied by other buildings which are not,
What we need to do is revise.
no, but that wouldn't help because it would only
On
apply to
this,
Well, it
future.
would
I
help.
guess he
about
just needs to
this.
go by.
It would help
Talk to
future.
me, what's the
Yes, it would
difference?
help future.
It would help for future.
And right now, we can't do anything legally on them.
But if there are, if there
they
are
haven't met the
concerns,
requirements.
then those need to be
But actually, I
addressed.
think we
Yes.
can, if the council wishes, we can be, if the council decides it does not meet the requirements for an RV park.
Revise for the future.
Well, but the problem is now.
Well, yes,
Well-
but then, at the time he comes for,
The renewal.
renewal, and the ordinance is different, stating what's not stated right now, then the renewal will not be renewed.
We're taking a big chance
So I have a-
right now.
I have a question, since our ordinance is not black and white as to, yes, you can have other buildings on there or not, my question goes back to what is the main concern and what is the main issue as to why this neighbor does not want this RV park? You know, it brings money to the city, you know, people are paying, renewing their permits and stuff like that. It goes back to the game rooms, you know, we have game rooms in the middle of town, down in our pueblito, you know, and they pay their permits. An RV person's paying their permits. What makes this I can make an argument that these game rooms are attracting bad people to the business and why we should shut them down. You know, they're taking the elderly people's money away, you know. It's a double-edged sword, honestly. And if we stir up this pot, there's going to be other spots that are going to
Who
be
has the problem, right?
stirred up.
Who has the problem?
You want a name?
Well, I mean,
What is
you're
it?
the one that brought it up.
Just a concern.
No,
Who's the concerned
The
citizen?
concern is that they're aware of the ordinance and we were not enforcing it. That was the main concern, not
So,
that
okay.
excess living there.
Simple.
It's just, they're aware of the ordinance, they've read it, and that was their concern, is like, we issued a permit when they didn't meet the minimum requirements.
So the-
But they didn't know about the way that ordinance was.
It's read, they didn't know.
Well,
I
they
mean,
didn't
it's
interpret
straightforward
like
right there,
legal
but-
does that,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't
Yes.
know.
Right. So then we
The
should
1 acre
probably
minimum.
table the item like
Yeah.
our attorney was saying and get more detailed into it. And if it calls for a revision of it, then we got to revise it, you know, and then next year when they come and renew the permit, then we could probably, you know, if it legally, we can deny it based off our new
Is it for a
ordinance.
year? The permit,
Yes, it's annually that they have to renew.
and they just got it?
They just got it back in the summer, in July 16th.
July? Okay. Well, that could be one way out, to go and determine if there's an acre available for the RV park, and then tell them it will not be renewed because there's not an acre available.
Unfortunately, it is legal's opinion that upon renewal, they will be grandfathered in under this ordinance. So all the rules that would apply to them are this ordinance. Any new rules that we would put in the
Yeah,
revision of the
But
ordinance,
this is not a new rule.
they would be able to renew.
This is an old rule that is in the ordinance, as I understand.
So what do we want? We want them to look into it?
Table it.
Yes, table it.
I say we're not gonna go anywhere. I according to what's written.
Well, it says that each RV park must have a minimum size of 1 acre. Each RV park. So let's say property says each RV park.
Yeah, if there's not an acre available for the RV park, then it does not meet the requirement. Go over and measure, it's easy to determine that, if that's the case.
He's not using the whole acre for the RV park.
Huh?
He's not using the whole acre for the RV park.
Right, so therefore it's not.
Okay, so it
compliant.
doesn't meet the requirements then.
So the,
But,
I'd like
this-
to, go
the only
ahead.
thing I just want to make sure is that if we make sure we do it with this one, it applies to all the other RV parks.
Well, that's
And then
what
there's
would
some that
happen.
have not have, enforcing their permit because they haven't paid, and which that gives us means to shut them down or
Yeah.
without,
If they
you
haven't
know,
paid,
and I
yeah,
just
shut
don't
them
want to
down.
be caught with.
There's another one?
You're
we
saying they
have-
haven't
we-
been paid?
There's some that have not been paid where we're
Where's the-
enforcing it.
How many
Well,
more do
that
we
should
have?
already be
We,
taken care of.
we have about a good 8.
Eight?
RV parks?
Where are they?
Really?
But inside the city limits,
No, they're in the ETJ
Some fall in the
outside.
ETJ.
yeah, the
Well,
ones
the
that- the ones that
ETJ
Bill
doesn't
got,
exist
yeah.
anymore, thanks to our governor.
There's no
There is
stop
no
When-
more ETJ.
Well, in this ordinance, we still have an
It
ETJ.
refers, but when that was passed, it probably did, it probably was such a thing.
Because, just keep in mind, we have Eagle Ford who has mobile homes and they have
Well,
RVs.
the ones on Hilltop,
And
I
then
don't think
we
we,
have-
they're not
Yeah,
inside
those
the
don't
city
really
limits.
pertain to this ordinance.
That's
This is
outside
like
the
for the
limits.
city.
We
This is
have
within
over
the
here
city.
at
Within the city
Eagle,
limits.
Eagle Ford, down right there by the bank, we have mobile homes and RVs as well. So it just, you know what I mean, we just need to be careful in regards to if we do one-to-one, it has to be in charge with the others because,
Well, I
Yeah,
think
it's
that,
applied
I
to
think that's what it
everybody,
would,
yeah.
we do.
But not
That's
the
the purpose
Hilltop
of
or the-
looking at the ordinances.
Or the Eagle Ford,
Just to
that,
make
they're
sure that
outside
we're
the
in
city
compliance
limits.
with all, you know?
Yeah.
It's not nitpicking at one.
Okay.
But that's a good point to make, so that everybody understands if something is done, it's gonna
It's
affect
gonna
Those
everybody.
that haven't paid, go put a chain in front of their gate if they, until they pay. I mean,
Okay,
that's-
Asensio, can you repeat that? What'd you say?
That we
One
just
park,
need to
Mayor.
keep in mind that what we do to one RV park, we have to go back and make sure that all the other ones are in compliance. And we can't just nitpick at one and not do the others, is what she was saying.
because there could be also safety concerns in regards to the one by the bank, how there's there's
That is
trailers
within the
and-
city limits.
Yes, that's what I'm
That
saying,
will-
there could be safety concerns there. It's by a convenience store. In front, it's there's apartments in front of it. So that's where we have to be careful in regards to the safety concern of it, because then you're.
Well, if it's in the ordinance, does it mention a safety concern in the ordinance?
No, but
No.
that's what the concern was, one of them was safety, not knowing who, Mr. Aranda did state that it was in regards to safety, not knowing who he rented to. And,
No, we
the
don't
other
need
one
to
was
know that.
concern of aware of the ordinance not enforcing.
I'm more concerned about ordinance, because I don't wanna be
And it-
not
and-
transparent and.
Yeah, this
so
ord,
forth.
this ordinance does say the location of recreational vehicle parks to be located within the city of Dilley and its extraterrestrial
There it
jurisdiction
is.
at the very top. So-
Well, and it's the ETG?
Yes.
Yeah, so they would
Yeah,
have to come
but,
pay their
but
permit.
isn't it, that changed, right?
No.
Well, that's, the
So-
information I had was that we could no longer enforce our ordinances in the extraterritorial jurisdiction.
The ETJ does no longer grows with the city, so whenever you annex an area, there's no longer a growing ETJ, but your current ETJ is still there.
Yeah.
Okay,
We can
well
add
then,
more to
then
what
let's
exists.
enforce it with them too, but I don't think it's a problem over the hilltop, there's a lot of land.
Yeah.
As far as the 1 acre,
They just need to pay their permit.
Yeah,
But-
the permit thing, that's a whole
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
that
Well,
needs
yeah,
to
But-
no,
be
that's
to, like,
what
But-
I'm saying, but.
Like, if it's not gonna be an issue in the Hilltop area, and if they have their houses there with their RV spaces,
Well, no, I mean, if it's,
then
it's
it's gonna be an issue.
right, if it's an
It has to be an
acre
issue
and
across
it's
the
less than
board.
acre, then yes,
Right.
it has to be.
And right now, I could tell you that the one behind the bank is in violation if we go, because they have mobile homes. the Eagle Ford is in violation because they also have mobile homes and RVs. So, I mean, we'd be stirring up a pot, you know, and these
the ones
people
behind
are,
Millie's as
are
well.
required to pay their,
Millie's is a-
their permits and stuff like that. And we as a city, if we haven't collected, then we failed to collect the permit fees. And that's money that could have been revenue for the city of Dilley.
There's an RV thing right behind Millie's. They're all parked just like this,
Millie's as well, yeah.
right?
Millie's as well.
Yes, behind me.
And this got the.
And
on
the
front.
And
mobile
the
home
trailer
Sandia
park.
Park also
Yes.
has mobile homes. They have an apartment complex. They have stuff back there, RVs and stuff. We'd be shutting down every RV park pretty much.
Now, is it a legitimate complaint? Yes, we can't ignore it, but right now, this is what we're going through and whatnot.
Well, that's what
Do we
apply
want them to look
everybody.
at it? Yes, but if it does, we know that it's gonna affect everybody, but it's being consistent with everybody.
And I think if, in reference to the fees, we need to start collecting that because it's monies that the city could be earning, you know, and if we're failing to do so, then it's a shame on us because we're not out there and keeping track on all that.
I don't know how much money it is, but regardless, if we have an ordinance, then we need to enforce it.
Right. Well, I mean, we'd be shutting down plenty of RV parks, so.
Well, I mean, somebody decided that it was a good idea to have a minimum space requirement. We could change it, but that doesn't seem to be the
That
problem.
dates back to 2011, Mr. Ray?
In 2011.
Way before our time here.
Chihuahua.
We'll table it.
No action. No, no.
Leave it or table it.
There's nothing to do. It's
Ay, no,
it's a no action.
podemos hacer nada.
Okay.
Ni a motion.
There's no motion?
There's no
needed?
motion, Mayor.
Okay.
So someone can make a motion to direct me or the city attorney to prepare a revised
We
ordinance.
can't make a motion because it's not an act.
Nah, that's
You
not
know,
right. What do you think?
Recommendation. Okay.
So see,
Okay, so
that's-
table it
That's something
and-
I don't understand either.
So we
but
can't
it's
take
why-
action on it.
Okay, well, I guess to be safer, we'll table it till December, but would y'all like a full
Yeah,
array
no,
of your options?
we should know who else is affected by that.
Okay.
Millie's like, roughly an acre is like 400 feet by 400 feet.
Okay,
I mean,
so,
it doesn't have to be square.
Yeah.
so city staff can
So
kind of
Millie's
review
might be
those.
within the,
They have all the parking.
Yes, but they're not meeting the requirement of the asphalt that needs to be done underneath the
has to
RV.
have asphalt?
That's.
There's a lot of stuff that's
Okay.
required in the
So,
ordinance.
Well, if the ordinance says they have to have asphalt, then they have to have asphalt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Give
I
them
mean, I don't
give
think
them
that's up to us. It's
give them a
in
few
there.
months to do it, and if not, close them down. I mean, what's the use of having an ordinance if we're not going to look the other way?
Are we not wanting to stir up something? I mean, if
No,
that's why ordinances
When I
were-
got into to city secretary, I
Uh-huh.
was informed that, RVs was not, was no more. But I have not found an ordinance or a resolution that repeals this ordinance, on which I worked with Molly in trying to figure it out. That's why when Daniel first approached, I told him we're not having RV parks anymore. That's what I was told. I could not find anything to repeal this ordinance. So therefore, he went and started in the process because we didn't have nothing to state that he could not. But upon that, I discovered that RV permits were not being sent out and it was not being collected. So I started off sending out the letters, sending out a second letter, trying to enforce to collect for the RVs. So that is something that was, I guess, neglected, or it was just, okay, once it was said no RVs and that's it. But I am working, me and the office are working on collecting these and bringing it up to where it's supposed to be, just like our jukebox and beer license.
Well, one
Are
of the
you
questions
doing-
should be, if a permit was issued in error, then how can we fix that? And I would think if you give them I think a halfway thing or you know, not, so it'll go to both people. Just tell them if they don't meet the requirement, that it will not be renewed. And that gives them time to make whatever arrangements they need to make.
But like, but the issue was that.
Compromise is the
in
word I was
regards to
looking for.
Daniel Martinez, there was gray areas in regards to the ordinance, and that's the reason why we passed the RV park permit for him, because he did meet the general requirements. Now, you know what I mean, you're saying, well, you know, going more into it, it doesn't state that in the ordinance, and that's where we're stuck in the office, because it doesn't go specifically in regards to the more detail of it. We're just stuck with the general, and that's why the permit was issued, because it did abide by the general of the regulations, and he did submit, and he did provide a layout, he did have 1.3 acres, you know, which was a minimum of 1 acre. That was the general, that's why the permit was issued. In his zoning, he is under zoning E, which again, the zoning map has not been updated for, I think, over 20 years, because I believe it's attached to ordinance in 1978, if I'm not mistaken.
That's 50 years.
Well, that's why I'm saying we're stuck with working with what we have and what's been passed. So now, if you want to base it that it wasn't to have gone past, that is not office staff, when we're just following what is on here on the general of the ordinance regulations.
Well, you use your best judgment, but, I mean, that doesn't mean that somebody else has to come with a different interpretation of it. And so the attorney can make an interpretation, or the council can interpret what the intent of the ordinance was.
And these things that you're mentioning to us, Natasha, it's good to know, because y'all should not be left in a situation where you can't make a decision or not have gray areas. So with that being said, we need to definitely look into our ordinances, because that's what's directing y'all, and we're leaving y'all in situations like that.
That's a tremendous
The other thing is,
job.
if there's a gray area, don't issue a permit, bring it to council.
That's not accounted
Well,
for.
first-
That's not a process accounted for in the ordinance. The only way it gets to council is if they deny the permit.
The ordinance outlines that permit can be issued, but see, the question is, did it meet the requirements?
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
Not that they can't issue it, if they come say, I want a permit for
There's a question whether it
whatever.
qualifies or not, that's when,
Okay, but like you said, sir, the interpretations are different, because when we said he put 1.3 acres, then what is the minimum requirement? At least an acre. That's, okay. Then he had put in, his first layout was for 20-something RVs. He laid it out for only 7 spots to make the measurements in between, which is, and it'll say 15 feet and 30 feet in regards to the measurements. And then he threw the asphalt on there for each spot that he did. So therefore,
You put the work into it.
That's good. They already had like the 20 slots. You know,
Right, they had the
fixtures there.
connections.
Just, they only left.
The connections.
I think 5, just for 5, that has the water, the sewer, and the electrical. And the others, I mean, they don't have
But
the
even at
electrical.
that, he had space for 20 trailers, and we neglected to look at that fact. The 20 trailers.
In 1 acre?
you won't be able to fit 20 trailers in 1 acre, there's no way.
But that's what I'm saying. But there were spots for them. That's what they were. How many trailers were out there at one time? Were there like 6 trailers out there at one time?
I think you're talking about Zamora's property. Zamora had about 6 trailers on that. But in regards to Mr. Martinez's, he did lower the number of RVs from it being 20-something, he put it down to 7. And like Sir said, he only has 5 that have the service. in which he still has 2 spots that are not going to be used because they don't have water services. It's just only 5.
Okay.
I need a motion. Bill?
I motion that we table this item and bring back for December meeting for the attorney to look more into it.
And city staff to go and measure, see what,
Motion made by
see
Inocencio
what's available for
stated.
the, so we can have
Second.
that information, so
I'll
we can,
second it.
Second by Alicia Machado. All
so
in
we
favor,
can
say
act
aye.
on it.
All in favor? Say aye.
Who seconded it?
Alicia.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
Because you were talking.
Estabas hablando, no para. Okay. You
All in
second,
favor?
right?
All in favor?
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Híjole.
But if I can repeat what I said, let's send city staff out there to measure what is available for the trailer park, so we know what we're talking about.
All right, I'm moving on to item number 9. Discuss, consider, and act on Texas General Land Office Disaster Recovery Relocation Program, DRRP.
Okay, Mayor and Council, the Texas General Land Office, Disaster Recovery, has a reallocation program. They will reallocate deobligated and unutilized funds from disasters that occurred from Hurricanes Ike and Dolly in 2008, from 2015 floods and storms, from 2016 floods and storms, from Hurricane Harvey, 5.6 billion in 2017, 2018 South Texas floods, and 2019 disasters. So the first one has a budget of $20,500,000 with a minimum allocation of $500,000, maximum of $20 million. The other one has a budget of $4 million, a minimum allocation $500,000. The other one has a $5.5 million budget, minimum allocation $500,000. The Hurricane Harvey is $84.5 billion, minimum allocation is $500,000, maximum allocation $20 million. The 2018 South Texas floods has a $6 million budget, minimum allocation $500,000, and the maximum is $2 million. And the 2019 disasters, $14.5 million, with the minimum allocation $500,000 and the maximum $2 million. I have engaged Premier Engineering. I did send a text out to see if there were any projects that you would like to be considered. They have to be, these are eligible for units of local government, cities and counties, Indian tribes, and public housing authorities. The projects should be, that are eligible activities are flood and drainage improvements, water and wastewater improvements, and street improvements. And so I've engaged Manuel Gonzalez and Armando to come up with some additional ideas to present to you, and you let us know what projects you would like to consider. We can only submit 3, and we have to submit them by, I think, November 21st is the deadline. Go on their system, fill out the applications and stuff, let them know which projects that council has approved. All right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On these projects, like Mr. Arredondo mentioned, we can submit 3, and then they will then let us know if one of them gets funded. What we were looking at to submit, and we'd like to get some input from the council, is that we were looking at getting some water improvements, and on the water improvements, we were looking at upgrading the water storage tanks, the ground storage tanks, and the elevated storage tanks. Those have been, we've had them for a while, and maybe in need of some rehabilitating and some sandblasting and repainting and some upgrades. Also upgrading the pumps throughout our water system, and then upgrading at the water plant the filters. There's some filter improvements. Right now, the current filters that we have at the plant, we're having some issues with the water not filtering through those quickly enough to be able to distribute to our community. So there is a lot of backwash that's being sent out into the creek. And then we also like to put in some backup power to our water wells, so that if you do have a power outage, we still have the ability to pump water and treat it. That's one of the items that we'd like to consider. The other item that we'd like to consider would be some sewer improvements, of improving our lift stations. Some of our lift stations are in need of replacement of the pumps, replacement of the control panels, and also the main line coming from the lift stations that are coming from the west part of the community, crossing the highway, and then coming towards the city water plant, sewer plant. We'd like to maybe upgrade that main line, and then doing some upgrades at the sewer plant as well that we had considered in the past. See if we can propose some improvements at the wastewater plant. That's the other item that we were considering. And then the third one was the some street repairs or repaving, some drainage with the addition of some curb and gutter, and also some sidewalks would be the third project. We would consider doing some street reconstruction and putting in curb and gutters and some drainage improvements, or I guess sloping the street so that we'll be able to drain it properly within the community. We looked at some of the streets that we would like to consider, and we're open to see if the council has any streets that we want to add. But we're looking at maybe adding Scott Street, West Miller Street, South Phelps Street, East Frio to Houston, West Hugo to Miller, and Houston Street. Those are some of the ones that we'd like to consider. And then the sidewalks, we'd like to have like a connectivity plan to have sidewalks throughout the community, from the high school to the, I guess, to here to our offices, and then to the highway, like we had proposed a couple of years back. And then we have from the high school, the Dilley House Authority, the elementary school, the middle school, the KBWG radio, or the Lighthouse, the Primera Iglesia location, the First United Methodist location, the city park, and the city hall. We'd like to have a connectivity plan with sidewalks to be able to connect all those together, and propose that as the third project. Does the council have any input, or would like to maybe consider something that we should add into the application?
So this is for statewide?
It is only for the area that was within the disaster recovery reallocation program.
The dark part of this map?
Yeah, the dark part.
Yes, so only the counties that are within the dark part are eligible.
Yeah, and then in the counties that are in the dark part, you also have to meet the low income metrics also. So that's how we got the 2.1 million for the water well.
The water well.
Those were also disaster, but they have requirements that you have to meet a certain income level. LMI,
So roughly it's 130 million available for,
Yeah.
no, there's one that's 84 billion.
how much?
84.
Yeah, so there's a lot of money left.
84.
No, yeah, it's
A
about
hundred-
135
I said
million.
130 million,
Yes,
in all of them,
correct.
more or less.
Yeah, about 130, 135, available for those communities. And they've allocated maximums for the different projects. So the maximums they're at 2 million for the majority of those, and then you have two of them that are at 20 million. We'd like to be able to submit for the improvements that we're looking at, and then they were probably gonna be ranging between maybe on the street improvements and drainage and sidewalk repairs. We included maybe 5 railroad crossings for the pedestrian crossings, and that would be maybe somewhere, depending on how many streets we add in there, but between 10 to 15 million. You would have the water improvements, you would be looking at maybe somewhere like around maybe 5 million or so. And then the wastewater improvements maybe would be maybe closer to like 12 to 15. We can, we can add or scale it down or scale it up, or if you have some
Well,
areas that
whatever
are.
you think we'll have more of a chance to get it.
What's that?
Whatever we think is, we'll have more of a chance to get it,
Yes.
then that's what we should do.
We're gonna try to focus on the areas like I mentioned, it's like the lift stations, the wastewater treatment plant. Those items I think would have a chance to maybe getting funded. And you're competing with other communities, right? And from what I've read on the application is that you submit 3 projects, potentially maybe 1 gets funded. So not all of the 3 are gonna get considered, and then that goes for all the communities, so they'll have 1 funded throughout their community. So if there's one that you maybe want to have as higher priority, we could put more emphasis on that one and how much detail we provide to try to have that one have a higher score if possible. But I'm not sure how they score it or who scores it. They just put that as the criteria as what types of projects could be submitted.
Is this statewide or
No.
certain counties?
It's only the counties that are within
Those
the
are in
area.
the dark here.
The ones that are in the back.
But
Oh,
still,
okay.
that's hundreds of cities.
Yeah.
But, we should try it.
It's a lot of entities, but like Mr. Arredondo mentioned, you'd have to qualify with the low to moderate income community. We're already recognized as a low to moderate income community, so that we would be able to get some points there for that, and then we could submit the improvements. Is there any areas of concern that you might have that maybe some constituents brought up that you might want us to consider or add to the list? If you do come up with something within this week, let Mr. Arredondo know, and then we can add it, because we'll have to submit it by next week. But we'll be able to add it.
That should be good.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
An approval to submit.
Yeah, okay.
Need a motion. Motion. Approve to submit.
The application?
Yeah, it's just
Application.
for the disaster recovery reallocation program.
I make a motion that we approve the act on the submission to the Texas General Land Office Disaster Recovery and Relocation Program. Do anything have to say anything else? Okay.
Okay, motion made by Alicia Machado, stated. Second by Vincencio. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Eleven, right? Number 10. Presentation on options for maintaining the City of Dilley natural gas utility as set by Simon Peña, natural gas consultant. Simon. Eric?
So, Mayor and Council, we have our consultant, Simon Peña, here to provide a presentation in regards to our natural gas utility.
Hi, Mayor and Council. For all of y'all who may not know who I am, my name is Simon Pena. I am the natural gas regulatory consultant for the city of Dilley. Have been for probably over 20-something years. Many times the cities that I work for and gas companies, by the way, I have a regulatory background for my own purposes. I worked for the Texas Railroad Commission in the Office of Pipeline Safety in my beginning career right out of college. And then I actually ran a gas company with about 3,000 to 4,000 customers for about 10 years. And I left that company as the Executive Vice President of Operations and then went into the consulting business. And so I help gas companies and cities throughout the country. I have actually clients in currently 5 states, and I've worked in Colombia, Canada, and Mexico, also doing pipeline safety, so I have some international work. So, but I can proudly say that you are my client, so I do say that, by the way. Okay, City of Dilley. So Henry asked me to prepare a presentation to sort of give you an idea of the status of your natural gas utility, where it's at currently, health-wise, operational, financial-wise, and also maybe to have a discussion about maybe potentially looking at putting it up for sale or not, taking it to the voters or not. So this is more of an educational presentation. Thank you to the staff, really the staff, Natasha's and Edma's staff, provided me with all the numbers that I'm fixing to show you here. So hopefully generate some discussions for y'all to decide what you'd like to do with your gas utility. A little background on the gas system. The system was established or installed in the 1960s, somewhere maybe around 1962, we estimate. So the system is basically over 60 years old, so it's got some history. Currently, it operates about 27 miles of pipeline. Found my first boo-boo, and I said 3 miles of polyethylene, but really it's about 23 miles of coated steel and about 3 miles of polyethylene pipe, which is the current standard material that's used in the industry. And the piping ranges anywhere from 1 inch, which are typically our services that go to each houses, residential, and then 4 inch would be the pipeline that come in, our largest mains that come in to serve the distribution system. At the time that Rudy filed Rudy Rivas, the Director of Public Works, files an annual report with PHMSA, which is a part of the Department of Transportation, regulates the natural gas utilities at a federal level. We had about 313 services that were in our distribution. That's not actually active customers. Those are services that are out there, in which we have to pay $1 to the Railroad Commission for the privilege of having them in operation. Our maximum allowable operating pressure is 60 pounds, so we can't operate the system itself more than 60 pounds. We currently receive and purchase now our natural gas from West Texas Gas. That's our pipeline supplier. And we buy gas at 3 city gates. Main city gate down the road. And then we have a smaller city gate that serves, I believe, the gas station, Cross Hotel. And then we have another station that's over by the prison that serves, I think, the Shell station. Those are the 3 city gates. We do odorize our gas. We regulate the natural gas to our system. So a little bit of a system operation timeline. So next slide. So the gas operation started in the 60s. around August 1970, Congress in around 1968 adopted the Pipeline Safety Act, and it required the Department of Transportation to incorporate Part 49 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 192, which are the minimum federal safety standards. At the state level, the Railroad Commission enforces these federal regulations and also enforces additional state rules, which I'll go a little bit into in the next bullet. So in 2009, DOT issued a new regulation called Distribution Integrity Management Program, DIMP. And this regulation required gas distribution operators to develop a plan to manage the integrity of its gas system and to identify specific and existing threats to their system and implement measures to address those risks. So an operator must reevaluate those risks at least every 5 years. You have to run a risk modeling type system to meet these federal regulations. Texas, meanwhile, around 2011, issued an additional state rule to this DIMP, which we call the Texas version of DIMP, which the Texas legislature, by law, required the Railroad Commission to adopt facility replacements of the existing distribution system where we're finding these highest threat risk per segments, per facilities within our distribution system. By the way, and I do these types of operations in other states, and Texas is the only state that actually mandates replacement of physical assets through law and through the Railroad Commission's rules. So it started out 5%. The legislature later on amended that and required 8% replacement. So currently, as of January 6, 2020, all distribution operators will be required to replace 8% of the highest risk segments within their distribution and facilities. So around fiscal year 2018, the city did start some replacement of meters, facilities, main replacement program, but it hasn't really met that requirement of the minimum requirement. It's trying to edge to that, but I think what's going to happen is the Railroad Commission is going to start ratcheting up their enforcement of the replacement. So that's, in a nutshell, the rules and regulations that are currently affecting our operation. Very impactful because there's a lot of costs that are associated with those replacements. Okay. Next slide from a financial standpoint, so you know as a council what the revenue of our system has been. So we took a test period of about 5 years at least. So we kind of showed that in the 2000 fiscal year 2019, the system brought in about $200,000. This was basically based on gas sales, the distribution sold. And then it took some minor hits in the following years. In fiscal year 2023, you see the revenue did significantly jump up to about $268,000. And I was talking to staff about that. Why did it go up, what I would consider significantly? And we can probably attribute to probably one of our larger consumers was using a lot of natural gas, and therefore the revenue was generated because of that customer or customers. What I find in distribution systems, about 20% of your commercial industrial load is the largest bulk of your revenue to your distribution system. The rest is just residential. Next slide is the expenses for that same test period. So as you can see, the expenses were fairly consistent. And the first year of 229,000 stayed in that same frame. The expenses in 2020, of course, that was during the pandemic. Expenses did go down a little bit. And then, of course, in 21, 22 fiscal year, the expenses went right up, which makes a lot of sense. And also, you remember, we had a fairly horrific winter around that, period of time. I think Uri was somewhere in that range there. So a lot of gas companies had real high gas bills from their supplier because the natural gas prices peaked during that time. So a lot of costs associated. And then it kind of leveled back down. Expenses didn't fall a whole lot because obviously after the pandemic, everything just to operate the system was more expensive. The cost of operation, material, labor, there was all supply chain shortages, so everything was fairly expensive. The next slide actually shows that after all that, we did make some transfers of revenue to the general fund. And these were some numbers that we could show you that we did transfer 55,000 in the first year. We didn't transfer any in the second year. And then 40,000 all the way down to 2023. So if we add in back the transfers as an expense, what we're looking at the next slide shows the net income prior to transfers was a negative impact to your income statement. So you lost in the first year about 29,000, following year 28,000, following year only about 1,000, but you can tell in that very hit year of 2023, it really impacted the income loss. And then in 2023, it barely stayed above the not negative $202, so barely above water there. So obviously on the next slide, after the transfer, and I wanted to make that distinction so you know that the numbers are fairly transparent there, what all the numbers are associated there. So after all the expenses and transfer going to the general fund, the whole gas utility was a complete loss, if you can tell there. From the first year, 84,000 in the red. 2022, the largest impact was 149,000 in the red, and then fiscal year 2023, 39,000 or 40,000 in the red. So the system is continuously losing money to at least up to the 2023. I don't foresee 2024 getting any better. The next slide basically shows, give you an idea of where your customer count is. Here's one of the reasons why you're not increasing your revenue and minimizing your losses is because you're not growing the system. So if you take the first year, roughly, now remember, there's 313 connections that you have out there, right? So in 2020, you had 262 of those connections as active customers. And then the commercial accounts were around 32. And then all the way down to the current year of 2023, you have dropped down to 240 active customers from that 260.
Do you have the number for the commercial?
Yeah, for the commercial was running around currently around 30. Yeah, so you went from 45 to about 30 in 100 years. So the whole system is either flat or going down. So we're not growing the system at all. So it's kind of hard to sustain increased operating cost if you're not increasing throughput and customers to it. The next slide is kind of a breakdown of where your gas distribution system is from a material standpoint. Remember I told you we have about 23 miles of coated steel that comes out to about 122,000 feet. That's about 85% of your distribution is still coated steel. And then the rest of it, 14%, is, of course, the new material that you have. So the ultimate goal is that as we run risk models and we find that our steel pipe is going to be leaking, having maintenance problems, that is going to be impacted by that 8% replacement requirement by state rule.
And the steel coated are the oldest, they were 60
Yes, sir.
years old.
It would be that 60-year-old vintage pipe. The legacy pipe is yeah,
So 85% of the system is the 62-year-old.
at least. I can't say that for a fact, you know, but I think the vast
Mostly.
majority of it would be. It would make sense, because any of the newer pipe, you know, the polyethylene pipe actually didn't come around being put into distribution systems till about the early 80s. So we're probably going to have a lot of expenses going forward for replacement of pipeline. Here, the next slide will basically tell you some challenges that we're going to have to deal with. The main challenge will be maintaining compliance with federal regulations. And I can tell you, and with the Texas Railroad Commission rules, I can tell you that PHMSA is not tired of putting out more regulations for the pipeline industry. And so actually PHMSA is currently looking at the state rule and maybe looking at implementing it at the federal level. Okay, because they've seen how Texas has been very successful in replacing very old systems. And actually that's making our state safer. And so PHMSA likes that, says, wow, that's good. We may use Texas as a model. Okay. So again, if the feds put on top of us some mandates on top of what the state does, again, that's just additional cost.
When, you may remember when we were in Pearsall, they threatened to fine them unless they replace, like 6 miles per year for however so many years. But they
Right.
haven't done that to us, though.
Well, we try to kind of stay under the radar, but they're getting close, Rudy,
So
they're getting close.
it's on the horizon probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the enforcement is starting to really getting ratchet up. I will tell you that every time we have an incident here in this state, and we've had some incidents recently where actually the Railroad Commission got some black eyes because up in Dallas, there was an incident where the gas company up there had an explosion, killed a 12-year-old girl at a house. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, came in and took over that investigation over PHMSA and the state, and concluded to them in their final report that the Railroad Commission did not enforce their own state rules to prevent that accident from happening. That's never good. You know, when the feds are criticizing the state for not enforcing their own rules, that's never good. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see some more enforcement. So every year, new laws and regulations are being passed and given to cities, gas systems to comply with. That's not going to change anytime soon. The 8% replacement per year mandate and associated cost with the dent, that's a big number for most municipals. And that's why a lot of municipals, I've done this presentation to about 6 other communities that have had to, ask the same question that you guys are going to be talking about here tonight, okay? The latest one is that I just got hired for city of Brady, which is in deep central Texas. Hiring and training qualified employees, educated employees, the skilled labor, that's one of the hardest things because you have to have qualified people to work in your gas distribution system. That's a federal mandate, okay? We don't have to have license like you do on your water wastewater. You have to be qualified, which that was kind of a lawyer thing that got put in there. So, but regardless, you've got to have qualifications at the end of the day. So that's what counts. That comes at a cost. Immediate need for those qualified operators. And then, of course, overall, your workload, your repair, your system O&M activities, just to stay in compliance. To hire folks like me to keep you in compliance. Those are some of those costs as well. Some additional challenges that you will have to face is that your gas rates may have to be raised in order to meet these regulatory burdens of steel line replacement. You just won't be able to get away from that. You're going to have to do it. And so at all times, the materials, the contractors, they're hard to find, and it's expensive. So failure to comply obviously could lead to costly fines from the Railroad Commission. As I said, they're fixing to ratchet up enforcement and issue fines to operators for non-compliance, repeat offenders as they call them. Line replacement costs, densely difficult, older steel lines to be more congested, like in areas where they're already developed. I think I was talking to Rudy about this. We were in Henry. A lot of utilities are under streets, so it means you're going to have to tear up some streets. Additional cost. During the recent hurricane that Harvey, if y'all could remember Harvey, where it hit Rockport, but it also hit Port Aransas, kind of devastated. And they got water in their gas distribution system. As a result of that, they applied to federal funding to get their gas distribution entirely replaced. So they did that. And I provided those numbers so you can kind of see what a replacement would look like in real numbers. So they replaced roughly 51 miles. Remember, we have roughly about 23 miles of steel that we're probably going to have to look at replacing eventually. And it cost them roughly $435,000 per mile, about roughly 80, 90 dollars a foot.
Well, that's per
mile. Per mile.
Per mile.
Per mile, sir. Because we're talking in a fully developed town. So it's not like it's an undeveloped property that you can just go and just cut a ditch. No. That cuts streets. You have to go bore under there. You have to do all kinds of things. They also had a feeder line that they had to replace. So if you look at our system, we're looking at, if we did it in close to this time right now, a little around $10 million. Now, the longer we wait, obviously, the higher the cost, right? So I'm just saying that. So they were able to apply for FEMA money and get that replacement there. But there was no way that the city would have been able to afford to replace their distribution at $22 million. So I just gave you that number so you can know that there is an actual replacement project that was done with real numbers. So potential for added burden on your utility fund, you're going to have to generate more money more revenue to pay for this replacement and O&M cost. Your current loss and unaccounted for on your distribution and your last annual reporting that we filed with the feds, it's roughly about 7.9%. So we're losing about 8% of the gas that we buy right off the bat. It could be contributed to poor measurement, leakage, other contributing factors. Industry standard is roughly around 5% that you're allowed to recover. Anything over 10%, the Railroad Commission and the federal government kind of want to look at your system and say, is it a safety issue? Are you losing that much gas because your leaks or things of that nature? I don't think we have a leakage problem here. I think it's more of a poor measurement. That's one of the reasons why we decided to start replacing meters, because meters need to be replaced, on a regular basis, at least 10 years. Every 10 years we should be replacing meters. So that means we probably have meters out there that are probably in excess of 30 to 40, probably 50 years old that we've never replaced. So those are some of the challenges. So the next slide, basically, to be a balanced presentation here, if you decide to continue operating the system by not selling it, you'll continue to receive the revenue at whatever rates you put out there. The city obviously will control the rates, and so you have the right to manage the potential growth of your system.
We've been controlling the rates all this time, and we're losing money. So that is not the answer unless we want to really bite the bullet and increase it significantly.
Good point.
There's no room for growth that I can see, the potential for growth.
Yeah, so most of the gas distribution system is the economic driver is really if you can get large industrial, commercial type customers to come in, that helps offset the residential customers that are usually seasonal for the most part, right? They usually use natural gas during the wintertime the most. And then, during the summertime, it's pretty marginal. You have a pretty low baseline there. So it's difficult to make money. The next slide, a little bit more advantages for you if you were to consider taking it to the voters for a sale. That is the economies of scale. Larger gas companies can operate and spread the cost a lot more than you guys can. So you have a bigger gas company that has 100,000 customers, 50,000 customers, whatever they are. They can spread that cost that we just talked about, then versus you trying to spread the cost across 260 customers, because that's what it adds up to. That's the only customers you can spread that cost on.
Well, they're actually being subsidized by the other functions of the government.
Somebody's got to pay for it, sir.
Yeah.
That's right. And it is your utility, so you're correct. So, I think cities challenge, city managers, city administrators have a challenge of making sure that each utility has sufficient funds to operate safely. So, yeah, I see that a lot. Bargaining power, obviously the larger gas companies are, the larger cities even, like CPS Energy, which is a municipally owned gas system, but they run like a corporation. They have bargaining power because of the size that they are. Reduce the regulatory burden for the city would be one of those advantages. One-time revenue, though, for the sale of the utility, if that is the will of the people, And then future revenue from other sources, if you do sell the utility, you could have franchise tax, sales tax. Another big one is ad valorem tax, because then they become a private asset. So that, there is benefit there to that. So they become a taxpayer, and also generate some of that revenue. You don't have the burden of operating the system. So. The next slide, the legalities here, that's just to tell you this is the statute in the state of Texas. It requires you to consider an election, obviously in consultation with your attorney to advise you, but this is the statute I usually pull out. It's pretty clear as far as whether you have to take it to the voters to consider divesting the public utility. And so this is the statute that mandates that.
So this would apply to us? We would have to have an
Because
election?
you're under 100,000 customers, population, excuse me. Yes, sir.
So we would have to have an election.
Well, now if your lawyer tells you otherwise, but I think that's why I put it out there, because that's the statute that I've been presenting to the folks. Unless, you know, your lawyers can bring a statute out of somewhere that says you don't. But most cities your size do go to the voters, and the ones that I have gone to the voters. Even the ones that are even close to that size and population still go to the voters simply as a matter of public interest.
What has the outcome been?
The outcome has been not bad. I think, let's see, last year we had Stockdale, George West, Thurs, Rockport, all got approval by the voters to divest the system. Just recently, the city of Lytle got approval. I was working for the city of Castroville. The voters denied it at the city of Castroville. Of course, Stockdale, by the way, had to go back to the voters twice. And always works on the second round. So decided to maybe educate the public a little bit better. Divine was a city, one of the first towns that I worked for that we went to the voters and got it approved. So it's been sold for over 10 years. You know, I think if you educate the public, similar to what I'm educating, we're educating, staff is educating you here. I mean, it is what it is. So, you know, it's up to your citizens whether they think that, you know, you may have that option. And that's what you're doing through that statute. You're getting permission from the voters to decide to put it for sale or not. But you have that at least permission from the voters. The next step obviously is the council take action to proceed with a vote for the citizens if y'all decide. Item on the ballot to sell the gas system only gives the approval to the council to consider the sale. Don't have to sell it. You can just consider it. And then formal bids, if you do consider wanting to go out, put it for bids, you issue an RFP just like you would any other asset that you would divest yourself from. See company's interest, see who would like to purchase. You get some bids, you don't like them, you reject them, you start all over, you know, keep the system however you want to. The city may select a bid from the following the election. Some cities move faster than others. It's just how fast they want to do the action. And then consider, you know, what is the most common method for an RFP, like we would do any other divesting, and the council can deny an offer or accept the bids, subject to a final negotiation agreement with the private entity. And the next slide really is the decision is yours, if you want to take it to the next step or not. It's really up to you. I'd be glad to entertain any questions that you may have. I do have, like I said, experience with this process.
So, obviously the buyer already knows, or they're gonna know our revenues and our, so why would anybody be interested in buying a gas system like Dilly's if they know that we lost $150,000 last year?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So private gas companies, like a West Texas Gas, CenterPoint Energy, other types of gas companies, they grow two ways. One, they grow their own systems by continuing to increase customer base within their own distribution systems. Or they can add customers by going out and purchasing an existing utility without actually building it. And that goes right into their rate base and goes into their customer count. Again, the revenues are generated based on their rates unless the city negotiates a special rate, an existing rate. Keep in mind that just like any other utilities here in Texas, the gas system, you still retain original jurisdiction over the rates of that gas utility. Okay. So anytime they have a rate case, they'll have to come to you for approval of that rate case.
Even
at the
though they
city.
own it?
Yeah, at the city level, they have to come to you. Now, most cities deny that rate. And then the Railroad Commission itself has the appellate requirement, and they have examiners, technical examiners, and very sophisticated folks to look at rate cases, and they would look at those. So a lot of times,
if it's like electricity, the Public Utilities Commission, they allow them to make a certain amount of profit.
a rate of return
So
on that.
the city or whoever governs is only has any authority after that.
Right.
So they can double the rate if that show is within the, whatever is allowed for them to make a profit.
Yeah, so, but again, depends on the gas company itself. Some gas companies have regional rates, some have statewide rates, some have local rates, and actually some cities have negotiated local rates. And so they just have to file those tariffs with the Railroad Commission. The Railroad Commission, will accept that, or they can review it for that matter. So they have the appellate review. But you at this local level have the first pass to those. But you're correct. Just like any other investment, when you go buy something, you should have a return on that investment for the most part. But because they integrated into their bigger systems, they spread that cost. So the return is really based on the larger asset for the most part. So that's why it behooves some gas companies, and some gas companies are in a growth method right now, but they're not in a very growth area, so they see acquisitions as a faster way to grow their systems. So that's why actually West Texas Gas is fairly aggressive right now in purchasing. They actually are buying the city of Lytle, or at least put in a bid. I'm not sure if that's successful. But, they want to build their gas distribution business, but there are other gas companies in the state of Texas.
So rough estimate, number off the top of your head, what would their system and Dilly be worth, if anything?
Would it be worth anything? Okay.
Because, obviously we know everything has to be replaced, so
Yeah.
what value would it have other than the existing?
Well,
customer?
you have gas customers.
Right.
And that generates revenue. So the revenue you saw there
Yeah.
would be at least a baseline revenue. And then if they have a little different rate to generate that return,
Plus capitalization.
yeah, all these different things
And
that
plus,
that generates
Replacement of
revenue.
lines has built into the rate.
Yeah.
They're replacing the lines is built into the rate.
Right, so they have a way to recover that through the state requirement, which is called GRIP, which is an automatic return on those replacement costs. And that's allowed actually in the state rules. It allows private companies, not y'all, private companies to go out there and recover that cost. So there's a guarantee for them when they going out there and making those replacements. And the state knew that they had to incentivize that, because otherwise gas companies weren't just going to voluntarily replace stuff, because it comes with a cost. So somebody's got to pay for it, right? But there is value. Now, in reality, a gas system like this, you're correct, has been depreciated, right? 60 years old for the most part. So if you haven't made any capital improvements, only capital improvements it looks like is you made that 3 miles of polyethylene, so you probably replaced some steel. But that might have been 20 years ago, I don't know, 10 years ago. But you have to capitalize that number. Well, cities don't capitalize stuff very well. They just don't put them in the books like that. So it's difficult. The way the private sector comes up with an actual estimate, because the state won't allow the private company to overpay for a utility. It's supposed to be the original cost of the plant minus depreciation at the time that you keep those books. So we had to keep very precise books at what the system was valued at any point in time. You guys don't, because you don't keep those types of books. So therefore, you have to look at other things. Okay, what is a customer worth to us? Is it worth $500 a year, $1,000 a year? And then you multiply it and you say, at least it's worth that. And then some of the physical piping, the poly is worth, okay, some. And then, you know, where you would get more money would be in the goodwill if you were close to a metropolitan area, an area that the town's going to grow. I'll give you an example. Castroville and Lytle have that, okay? You just have to drive through there, right, and you see all the growth. Those systems are going to be valued more simply because of their potential. Okay, and I'm not saying we don't have it here, but, you know, a buyer has to look at it from a very rational standpoint and say, okay, what is it? Because they have to get approval from the Railroad Commission to buy the system. You don't have to get approval from the Railroad Commission to sell it. But they do.
We just have to get the approval from the citizens to sell it.
That too. Yes, ma'am. Subject to that. That's the first step. But the first step is right here. Do you want to go to that next step?
The thing is, the citizens can still keep their gas, so you can still keep your.
Yeah, but what price?
Yeah. So, you know, yeah, so we'll keep the system, the utility. I mean, natural gas is a good value, okay? I don't know, and I was asking Henry, you know, when was the last time that we've had a rate increase on our gas utility? And he was scratching his head to try to remember. So the story in the private sector, right, you know, is it goes up as cost of service increases. So it's not that impactful to customers. When you come in here and have to do a rate study like we're fixing to do or we're going to do with CAPEX, and you find out, I remember I did a rate study, I don't know, Rudy, if you were on the council back then or not, that I came in and you guys wanted so much revenue. I think Ray was in there, and I think I proposed a 15% rate increase. And I think I almost got tarred and feathered that, you know, I said, well, I mean, that's the reality of it. So, you know, that's a trouble. If you haven't raised your rates in recent times, then you're going to have a pretty good sizable increase if you want to just keep with your current operation and maintenance and replacement requirements to meet the regulatory burden. So it's up to you, however you council sees that you want to manage your utility. But I think what we wanted to do was educate you on your system, your financial condition, and to make a decision if you want to go to the next step. And if I can help you, you know, in your decision, one way or the other, as staff, we're neutral, so we'll want to educate you as council. You have to take it to your constituents.
We still have time for the May election?
Yeah, I think Natasha said she's really good about getting the ballots out and boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So it just, you know, depends. Go ahead, sir.
No, this was just to get it in front of you
Yeah.
early so that then they can think about it and then, you know, get with legal also to see what options we have. And if you decide to, then, you know, elections are around the corner and we can start working on it.
Well, you know, we're losing all this money for just, and our operation is basically it's a maintenance operation. There's nothing in the budget for construction or replacement of lines. If we were to have that, we would have even bigger losses without a corresponding rate increase. And we're talking not 15%, it's just appealing to half or 100%, which would cost a lot to our citizens. But it's either that or don't have the system. I mean, it's at least gotta pay for itself.
And then the other option is the customer can switch to electrical, but those costs are going up faster than the natural gas.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I think actually on a wholesale basis, I think natural gas is actually a real good bargain. It's really at the lowest it's ever been. So, you know, as long as you got good rates, you know, you should be able to, you know, generate the revenue. If you haven't increased those rates, then you're not benefiting on the good wholesale price. And so, you know, what's affecting, I will tell you that it's not going to stay low for a long time because big industry like data centers and other things are moving into the state, and they're using natural gas to generate their electricity. So that's going to be a big consumer of natural gas in this state.
Corpus Christi, like $50 billion to handle liquefied natural gas. So they know something.
Right. Yeah, we're a big exporter. We are actually 23% supply of our natural gas in Texas goes to the Mexican market, just to let you know, for their electricity. So we're big business here. So natural gas is a good commodity, but you know, good things have to come to an end, unfortunately. So you're gonna have to manage your operation. If you want to stay in the business, you know, you need to grow it if you're going to be in the business. So that's the only thing I could conclude with going with the numbers with Henry. Is that, you know, you're not producing the revenue that you're going to need anytime soon. We just did a DEMP remodel. I think we need to do a risk assessment here with a model and Esri mapping. I think cost one city about between $30,000 and $40,000 just to do the risk modeling. And so that was a heavy expense that had to be done because the Railroad Commission was, you know, down their throats, threatening with a $50,000 fine if you didn't do the $30,000 risk model. So I think that was kind of like, okay, I think we don't have a choice.
So do we have to act on this right now?
Ma'am?
No, this is just, Madam Ted, it's just a presentation.
Okay.
Well, the next one is to act.
The next one is
If we
to act.
want to.
No more?
We're good?
Any other questions? I'm here at any questions that you may want to ask from the presentation or to educate y'all. If not, then I'm done.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Simon.
Simon.
Thanks,
Thank
Bill.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as your consultant. Continue.
Move on. All right, moving on to item 11. Discuss, consider, and act on options presented for maintaining the city of Delhi natural gas utility.
Does someone want to make a motion to put it on the ballot or to table this?
where we're at now.
Or,
Mm.
yes.
Yeah.
We just still have time to think about it.
We do.
Okay. Make a motion.
Well, that's up to
table.
us. It's up to us if we have time or we want to act on it now.
Okay, we can
Go
go
ahead.
for it.
Go ahead, Alicia.
I think we
No,
should,
I really
I
want
think
to
we
talk
should
about
start
it.
the process. There's nothing on the horizon that gives us any hope. There's nothing there. Yeah. Of
Unless we
course,
have $10
you
million
know,
somewhere.
huh?
Unless we have $10 million donation from somebody, then we'd be okay.
Yeah. There's $10 million to replace it. I think that's probably more.
That's probably.
And we don't have it. And even if we were
And
to
if
borrow
there
it,
was-
if we were to borrow it,
No.
well, you know, that's an option. We could sell bonds but you have to come down to at least a 50% rate increase. I mean, that's just a ballpark figure on people who have gas. They're gonna have to pay for it. Like I said, yeah. That- Yeah, there was the option of going electric,
One
but,
of the things that happens is,
What
on
about a
a-
butane tank that we used to have back in
well,
the day?
one of
I
the. one
think
of
it's illegal.
Yeah, one of the things that happens is, let's say you have an old structure in the house and you got a leak. Okay, so now the city has to go turn it off. You have to get a plumber. The plumber comes in, tells you it's gonna be $3,000 to rehab it because it's old at the house. And then you go and get your electrician and says, just give me how much it's gonna cost to change the electrical here? Oh, about 150. All right, change the 150, I'll go get a stove that's electric, problem solved. I can't pay the 3,500 to rehab my pipes in my house. That's what happens,
Exactly.
and that's why we lose the customers.
So let's get what we can, is my thought. I think we should start the process for an election to sell and they not, once that we have that, unless they turn it down. But even if they turn it down, we have no option but to increase their rate. In the old days, we didn't do rate studies. We just say let's rate the rates by 20% across the board, whatever they are now. Increase them by 20%, and that's what it would be. We probably can still do that.
So council did authorize the rate study, so the CapEx, Jeff Snowden is working on that.
But how long has he been working on that?
Well, we just approved them, I think last month. I'll get back to him, and he'll probably consider the 8%
Yeah.
replacement.
Well, he'll come back with we need a 20% increase or more. And, and we'll still be in the same place because it'll take years to build up the capital that we need to replace those lines.
Well, even if it's
We're
passed, we
talking
still have
maybe
to
10
find
years.
someone that's gonna purchase it, so we still have to look at both options, so we can prepare it in case there's not a buyer.
Well, I mean, they've shown interest in buying it, right?
Yeah.
People have talked to you and,
West Texas Gas.
Okay.
yeah. But like I said, it's gonna cost the people, but at least it'll be out of our hands. So how do we word it if we're gonna start the process?
So you can make a motion to put it on the ballot, to direct whoever certifies.
But we're talking
the
like in
ballot.
May,
Yes, it would be on the May
Okay.
ballot.
so just a motion to put it on the ballot in May. That's all we need?
I believe so, at this time, yes.
A motion to proceed to,
Okay, I move that we put this, the possibility of selling the system on the ballot for the May election to give us some options. I mean, so that we will have some options.
I second, Mayor.
Okay, motion made by Rudy Alvarez, stated, and second by Mr. Aranda Ray. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Moving on to item number 12, discuss, consider, and act on nominating for the TCAP Board of Directors election.
Okay, Mayor and Council, I received this letter from Margaret Summery, the executive with TCAP. She said the Texas Coalition of Affordable Power Board of Directors extends an invitation to you or another member of your organization to consider running for a position on the board. According to TCAP bylaws, 8 of the board's 15 positions term of office will expire at the end of 2024. An election will be held in December for these positions, whose terms of office will be 2025 through 2026. According to the bylaws, any full-time salaried employee or elected official of a member shall be eligible to serve as a director. You may nominate yourself or another member of your organization who would be interested in serving on the board. Each member organization may nominate only one individual. Nominations should be accompanied by a brief biography or resume and a photo emailed to msummerby@tcaptexas.com. The board is responsible for developing TCAP's strategic plan and supporting policies with the goal of obtaining its members reliable, low-cost electricity. The board may meets physically at least 3 times in 2025, with 3 other meetings via Zoom. Other meetings may be scheduled depending upon various demands, but these meetings may be conducted via telephone conferencing and Zoom. All expenses incurred by directors to attend the meetings are reimbursed by TCAP, and time requirements to serve on the board will be the days associated with in-person meetings. 2-3 hours for Zoom meetings and approximately 4 hours a month reviewing issues related to TCAP through telephone calls and or emails. Nominations must be received no later than Friday, November the 15th, 2024. Ballots will be assembled and distributed to the membership by December 6th, 2024, and will be received electronically or by mail through Friday, January the 3rd, 2025. Candidates will be slotted on the ballot in random order. Of the 8 open positions, 3 are for large consumers based on annual kilowatt hours, 2 are medium consumers, and 1 for small consumers. The 2 candidates receiving the next highest vote levels, regardless of their consumption, will fill the remaining 2 at-large positions. Votes will be canvassed by TCAP Board of Directors at its first meeting in 2025, which is Friday, January the 10th, 2025. And this is if the council wants to consider nominating.
I nominate Mr. Arredondo for representative.
Can we read this?
A second.
Motion made by Ray to nominate Mr. And second by Mr. Alvarez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Say aye, motion carries. All right, congratulations.
I didn't even ask you, sir, I'm sorry. You do well. You
That's
do
why
well.
I wasn't bringing it for a while.
The meetings are in Hawaii. No, just kidding.
I changed my
No,
mind.
no.
Okay, moving on to item number 13. Discuss, consider, and act on service provider agreement between Frio County Emergency Service District Number 1, Frio County, and Dilley Volunteer Fire Department. What is this all about?
So this is between the ESD and the Volunteer Fire Department, and it's an interlocal agreement. But
Do we have a representative?
the representative, AJ Gonzalez.
A.J. Gonzalez. He's the chief? Oh, okay.
Chief
That's
and
the guy
he's
who
a-
was here last time, right?
Yes.
I don't know him, but yeah.
Yeah, because we benefit quite a bit from this. They give us money, equipment, yes. And we pay taxes to it, so.
Okay?
Anything different? It's just the renewal?
Yes, the renewal, nothing different.
Motion.
A motion that we approve the service provider agreement between Frio County Emergency Service District Number 1, Frio County, and Dilley Volunteer Fire Department.
A motion made by Alejandra Asuncion, stated. Second.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Machado. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item 14, discuss, consider, and act on resolution number 24-11-12, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Dilley, Texas, adopting a covered applications and prohibited technology policy as required by Chapter 620 of the Texas Government Code, providing for a severability, savings clause, and setting an effective date.
This is just a resolution adopting a prohibited technology policy in compliance with the governor's declaration to do so. So, no TikTok on city-owned phones. Your personal phone is fine, but if it is a city-owned phone, this applies to council members, staff, anybody.
So what does it do?
It just says that people will be, any city-owned phones will be in compliance with this, so they will not have any of these prohibited apps. So namely, it's called like a anti-TikTok policy. But there are other prohibited apps, so so that we can avoid having to have every single person with a city-owned phone sign that they agree to be in compliance with this. This adopts a city resolution, so we can have sort of a blanket compliance.
But does it
What they
state
can do with
TikTok?
their own personal phone?
No.
Not your own personal
City-owned
phone.
phone.
Your
City.
phone is fine.
Our
You can
city
keep your
equipment,
TikTok.
our city,
Own phone,
Just
right.
city-owned.
Anything by
yeah,
the
well,
city.
I think we already have a policy on that.
So
This
this is for
They've just started.
This clears it up and really make sure it is fully in compliance with the governor's orders.
So it would apply to the desktop computers.
Yes.
True.
What else would it apply to?
iPads,
iPads.
computers, laptops.
No, but it would apply only
Oh, like our
to
city
city
issued iPads?
equipment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
city-owned.
Yes, city-owned.
Anything that's city.
Okay. But I thought we already had an ordinance of
Social
like
media?
that. They're prohibited, being on Facebook and,
No, this
No.
just came
Yeah,
into play
so
by
this-
the governor.
So that would be different if y'all did have a city policy where it's like, try not to be on Facebook at work. That's a little bit different than saying that you will not have any of these apps on these.
well, what
on the
apps
phone.
are you referring to?
So it's namely TikTok, anything developed or provided by ByteDance Limited or an entity owned by ByteDance Limited. And this list can be amended as by the governor's orders.
So what if we don't pass it?
You will not be in compliance and
And what happens?
I didn't look at the repercussions of that, but it is
It has
required
no
by statute.
repercussions?
I'm sure there would be.
It-
Yes,
it
I'm
may
Pretty sure
be.
when you get to the grant funding, they say, well, okay,
Yeah.
are you in
Are you
compliance
in
with all these
compliance with
things?
your cybersecurity training?
This is the government that he asked for, like TDCJ, all state entities,
Mhm.
to restrict them from operating or going onto these type of websites or apps owned by these people.
Save phones and save.
Regardless, they're still subject to the open, I mean, they're still city phones, so they could be picked up at any time.
Yes, subject to open information.
Yeah, anything on that city issued phone is open records.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're not on TikTok
Hmm?
anyway.
What?
You're not on TikTok anyway.
No,
You don't
but
have
no,
a
but
city phone.
no, but Natasha could be on TikTok
Yeah,
on
but
her
she
own
don't
phone.
have a city- But we're not talking about their own phone. We're
Okay.
talking about city phones.
Okay,
City,
but
city.
she's already prohibited from using our computer to be on TikTok and Facebook and all that.
But the governor's put this in order, not us.
Yeah, well, the governor doesn't tell us what to do.
Apparently he does.
Paxton took my phone.
Paxton is the,
Apparently he does.
no, he is.
It was
Paxton,
personal.
the biggest criminal in Texas.
Let's just not go there right now.
Rudy, I don't
because
want to
will
hear
not-
it, Rudy.
I'll go with you on anything else on that,
Yeah.
man, right now.
Don't.
Don't go there. So I'll make a motion.
So,
Okay, motion made by
I make a
Alisa.
motion that we act on the resolution number 241112, a resolution of the city council of the city of Dilley, Texas, adopting a covered application and prohibited technology policies as required by the chapter 620 of the Texas Government Code, providing a severability and saving clause and setting an effective date, today.
Okay, motion made by Alicia Machado as stated. Second,
I think
second by Nilda Rodriguez. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Rudy opposes. Okay.
So you better distribute this among all our employees.
Motion
Nobody's gonna
carries.
know what it is.
No. For the
Or,
ones with
you
phones.
know, make sure, and even after they read it, they probably won't know what it is.
Well,
If I know
but
what
not
TikTok is.
everybody, not all the city employees have city phones.
Or computers.
No, they don't have city computers.
Well, everybody
I'm
should
just
know if
saying.
everybody, all their employees
We're
are
just
covered.
just following the rules of the land.
I don't think so.
Let's go.
This is a
Okay.
resolution, it's not a law.
Item 15, discuss, consider, and act on the resolution adopting the 2024 City of Dilley investment policy.
So Mayor and Council, this has to be presented annually. We presented this last year, November. We have no changes. It's just so that,
Basically, you're just, all we have is CDs.
yeah, it's just to review.
And does the policy say, oh, you can only have CDs?
CD. No, it
No,
says you
there's-
can have other
Yes.
investments.
Yeah, but we're not big enough.
No.
I mean, in my
Motion.
opinion. We don't have that much money.
I need a motion.
Mayor.
Motion that we approve resolution which adopts the 2024 City of Dilley investment policy.
Okay, motion made by Inocencio as stated. Second,
I'll second it.
second by Alicia Machado. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 16. Discuss, consider, and act on employee stipend proposal utilizing COVID relief funds by the CARES Act. Mr. A.
So, Mayor and Council, Natasha's gonna pass out two options. First of all, the balance, the estimated balance that we have in the COVID funds is $114,000,
Okay.
okay? But we have to utilize those by December 31st, 2024. All cities, counties,
By
everybody that
December
receives.
what?
How much was the total?
The
114,000.
total is 114,000.
Yes.
And we have to use them by December 31st, 2024. It's around the corner, yes. So what we prepared here is two options. One option is the same option that you all approved I guess about a year ago, Natasha,
Yeah.
that you approved the stipend for our employees if you had not received the stipend with another entity. And this year, we did not budget a increase for our employees. So,
There's no money for it?
yeah, so considering that, we had a second option, which is a little bit more, because I also had a couple of council members say, well, you know, why don't we give a bigger stipend towards the end of the year? So that's what you have before you, those two options.
How many employees do we have?
We have, how many are on the list? 35.
35.
That would qualify based on this.
That would qualify based on that, yes.
Well, I think there's some changes.
I think it's too much on the class one employee department heads. 4,000 or 5,000 is too much. In my opinion, my recommendation is that we give a $3,000 stipend to all employees, regardless of their status.
Of what class or what?
That'll take 35 employees,
35.
3,000, that'd be 100, that's about 114, isn't it? 35 times
It'll
3.
be what?
It'll be 105.
And I know we're discussing this again, but this is the only other way to utilize these funds? Because this is the same conversation we had last year when we approved the stipends, that
We
we were
should've
gonna have an
spent it.
action in place to utilize these funds for something.
You ready for how many?
And
35.
so, yeah, so we've been using these funds to invest in infrastructure that's gone out.
But it's too late now.
Yeah.
We have to spend it by next month.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean,
It should have been done a year ago.
$100,000
I don't,
for-
I, yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of need, and we're gonna spend $100,000 on a bonus.
Why
But
not?
can we spend it on something else?
But what else can we spend it in one
No,
month?
there's just so much need in the city.
The county
Yeah, maybe we
gave,
can't spend
the
it.
county gave
Well, we
$2,000.
could've, we're having the
stipend.
same conversation a year after we had
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's a miss. That's not utilizing
So
time
like I
to
said,
plan
we should have been
accordingly, you know?
spent during the year, but it wasn't.
I told Mr. A, you know, when we're talking about this, if we could include council members to get a raise.
We give it what?
Raise it would be a
It's not a
stipend.
raise, a stipend.
Stipend.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and they.
It's illegal.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I think we can put it,
I just don't like. I don't
stipend to the
like
council members?
I personally am not in favor of the classes.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
More or less, I'm more like everybody equal, you know, across the board.
Yeah.
Mayor, council, if I may give my 2 cents
Go ahead.
in
Go ahead.
this. I feel like this will be a morale booster, and then just communicating with the city manager. I know we've done a lot of good to the community and the city using these funds. I think, like Mr. A said, we didn't get any raises. If anything, we're doing more work with less personnel because we had to cut back on personnel
Yes.
when we lost CCA. And as far as the classes, my deal is nobody carries the same headache in this line of work. Everybody does different things in the department, and I could see where they would classify, higher stipend amounts for department heads, supervisors, and stuff like that, because as a department head, you carry a larger, I would think, load of the department, and then so on and so forth. You have your supervisors, your first line supervisors and stuff like that. And then you have the troops on the grounds that are doing, work. But that's just my thought on that. It's like we've done so much good to the community, these previous years, utilizing that money. Why not give back to the employees who have helped done that work throughout the years and stuff? So.
No, I don't disagree with you. I'm with you on it. But I think go straight across the board, the same amount for everybody.
Right.
Why? Because you're a supervisor or director, you still make more money than your employees.
You do disagree with him.
No, well, no.
But,
He
you know,
makes
I
more money.
agree
You know
with
what
you.
I'm saying?
That's
Is
exactly
that
what Rudy said, one amount
One
across the
amount.
board.
One
across
amount
the
for
board.
every
That way
employee.
There's no conflict. I mean, I know you do a lot more.
And I don't blame
I
you
know
for,
Arnoldo does a lot
for
more.
advocating for your officer,
Yeah.
but I don't blame you, but
Right.
I think.
But I
that
think
I think
because
the
because I'd hate to be at the bottom of the toe
No, and like I
say, you
said,
know, I'm only gonna get $500.
$20.
And I put as much work into it as anybody else. So if you go straight across the board, you got no conflict.
Yeah.
You got no problem, and everybody's happy.
I'm okay with that,
I
you know?
like it.
No, 100% I'm okay with that. Like I said, one of my points was we're doing a lot more with less staff. So our officers are doing more, Public Works is doing more without the less staff. So I mean, if that's the
understand
way.
that, I understand
yeah.
that, but it's like everything, it's a job.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, and I know there's people out there that don't want to do your job. You know, I really do, and I know there's people out there that, you know, for some reason, they don't want to work. Well, you know what? You got these guys working, everybody across the board, we're good, and everybody will be happy. That's just my opinion.
No,
Again, you know, I mean,
Well, your
it's
opinion is
just-
the one that counts.
And
Or
it-
at
and
least
it's
five,
understandable.
one-fifth.
Bottom line, we have to spend this money.
And
by
it's
December
understandable,
31st.
it's not
Yes.
dismissing
And we
anybody's
cannot spend
performance.
it in anything else but,
Okay, and I'm okay with
go
that.
ahead, spend it all.
Why, it has to
Like
be spent
you-
on raises?
But like you
No.
mentioned,
I mean, there's other things that could be spent on.
well, that's the thing.
But not by December, not by next month?
So that's the thing, I just want to make a point, and that's why we're not disagreeing,
No,
right?
no.
No, we're not.
Even at the time of budget time, if we had the money, we would have given a raise, right? We know our employees are deserving, we know what they work and what they do, we see it, you know? But right now, we're at the time that we have to decide what to do with this money. Now, us included with everybody else who is responsible for our financial standing, we're back here again. That's my main point, a whole year. You know, we lost CCA or Core Civic, we were made known in August. You know, there's different avenues in where these CARES money could have been utilized. And so it's just a point
Well, if
that,
we had
you
a
know,
business manager,
We can't do anything.
a finance director.
you know, so this is our time for each of us to express what we want, you know, so just be respectful of that. And so that's the time we're able to express and we're able to come to decision and conclusion. Yes, we're at the point right now that we do have to make a decision to spend this money because there's no other options. But we had a whole year when we were in the same place last year to plan accordingly. That's all I want to say.
If I can speak, so we've spent close to $1.2 million. Most of that has been on stuff that, like the sirens, that we didn't know that they were failing, the pumps, the wells, the motors, all that we've been using for that. Equipment so that we wouldn't finance it. I mean, there's always something to spend it on. You don't have to give it to the employees. We have issues at the prison. We can use this money to pay for that motor or the well or the electrical. So it's been allocated, right, on stuff that, hey, we didn't have the money for, so it's been spent. The thing is that here we are, it's December the 20th.
The cutoff.
You know, the cutoff, and we have to utilize those, you know.
And this is one of your ideas that you're presenting on how to utilize the funds.
Yeah, because we didn't know, you know, we didn't know the immigration facility was going to close down, right? It has. It does impact us. We haven't felt the whole impact. I mean, I'm going to be analyzing the October revenue from the, I mean, of course, I have to wait till everybody pays their bills to see what impact that had on us, you know. And, you know, if it's 30,000, 20,000, I mean, that's going to be every month that we have to deal with that.
Do you have a suggestion other than the stipend where this money is spent?
You can always spend it somewhere else, but you also count on your employees to do your job.
Exactly. Not that I'm against the stipend, no,
Yes,
but just a question.
yeah. I mean, there's always water infrastructure out at the
Yes,
prison.
but not in 1 month.
Yeah, that, you know,
Yeah.
as to
So-
where we stand right now.
Like in the projects that we're having right now, the motor growing out, the prison thing, is any of this money, or this has already been accounted for? We're not?
No, that has to be consumed before the end of the year.
Well, I still say just divide it between all of our employees equally, which comes out to about $3,000. I think that's very generous. The county gave us 2,000.
So we're doing this and then we're doing the Christmas bonus at the same time?
So the Christmas, that's longevity pay. That is in your policy, in the city handbook.
Well, let's not do that. I mean, we're giving them $3,000. This
But it's
this
in
will
the policy.
take the place of the longevity pay plus a bonus,
Yeah.
and like I
mean,
said,
so some longevity
We
pay
already
may
have-
be $50.
yeah. So that's just
Most of the employees here don't have more than 2 years here. Most of them are.
yeah. So they'd be better off with this, I think,
Yeah, but
We
that,
got alone and.
That's it.
except like Freddie.
Go
They-
again.
Yeah. So let's do away with the longevity pass and increase the amount so that everybody gets $3,000 is my suggestion.
Well, that's a whole different item.
No?
Like, we would have to bring it, we can't do
No,
that.
we don't have to address the longevity pass. Just let it pass. Not bring it to the council at all. We have an agreement between ourselves.
It's in our
And I can be
policy.
part of my motion if I may make a motion. I move that we give a $3,000, what are we calling it?
So
I
if we keep in mind, the longevity pay is something we do every year. This would be this year, you know?
One time.
So if we did away with the longevity pay, that means that next year we wouldn't get nothing, you know, not even
Well,
$50.
we could give $2,000 stipend and then save the other, but that's before December.
you have to spend the whole
Well,
money.
but that will be in December. That'll
Well,
still
we
be
have to-
within the deadline.
Here we go again.
We have to spend the money, we have to spend the money.
Okay, like I say, if we're gonna give a longevity pay, then reduce it to 2,000.
That's totally different.
Okay, please do not make a motion regarding longevity pay. It is not on the agenda.
Right, yes.
Okay, may I finish my motion? I move that we give a $3,000 stipend to all our employees and do away with the longevity pay for this year.
So just to add, does this include the employees that already received the stipend from the school district or not included because we were not including them because they've already received the stipend?
Well, I would
It's
think they're
ridiculous, 'cause
just
that's for
lucky.
months.
They work over there and they're gonna get another stipend, so I say everybody. They're lucky that they're working over there. It has its downfalls, its drawbacks too, but everybody that's employed by the city of Dilley, and we do away, like my motion says, we do away with the longevity pay for this year.
Motion made by Julius, stated, second. Motion dies.
So Mayor, you were saying about, including council in the stipend?
Can you do that?
So this item did not go to legal for approval, so we do not have an opinion on that at this time, but I would rather have
Let's-
someone,
let's-
have someone look
let's
at that.
Let's table it, and then we can, or go ahead
When does it need to be spent by?
by December.
By December 31st.
By December 31st. So if you would like us to look into that by the December 8th meeting, we can. Whether council can be included in that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That, I would think so.
This says all city employees. Are we considered city employees? I mean, I'm perfectly well with excluding us, but,
Yeah, I just,
yeah.
So if y'all would like to pass it with just the employees listed on here right now, currently, y'all are more than welcome to. If you would like us to look into whether council can be added to this, we can.
Okay, look into it.
Can't hurt.
Okay.
Can't hurt. If not, we can still just.
If not, then yeah, let's just do the
Yeah.
anybody salary, is employed by the city.
Okay.
So can they include the employees pending the council later, or?
Well, the other day.
We can make it contingent,
These same employees can also be considered at the later date, yes.
but we can make it contingent on a review of,
The other employees.
Right.
So would it be
The-
so it would be 3,000, hypothetically,
Well,
3,000 across
whatever
the
it is
board?
divided by the number of employees that we have, it should come out close to 3,000. In the county, the commissioners were included in that.
you can, because it was during COVID time and we served and we did ordinances and things like that, but.
We almost
We
died,
need to.
some of us.
Oh my gosh.
So I think it can be done because, like I said, the county did it this year and last year.
Just to make sure.
Yeah.
I
Sure.
just want it to be legal.
I
Of
just want,
course.
yeah,
Of
and I want
course.
everybody to be straight across the board.
Oh,
I want
yes.
nobody to get 1 penny more or 1 penny less. I'll same amount.
Make a
Okay.
motion right
Whatever's
now.
available divided by the number of
Whatever's
employees.
available, yeah.
Okay, someone can make a motion to either table this or approve it, a blanket, I guess, stipend for all city employees, subject to,
Well, I already did.
There you go.
Subject-
yeah.
subject to council's opinion on whether council can be included in that.
I motion that, we approve the stipend as a blanket across all employees, including council, and in this, subject to approval and review by city attorney.
You're not gonna mention an amount, just whatever's available divided by the number of employees, and just so we all know what we're talking about.
Motion made by Ms. Sensi.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Machado. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's basically what I said
Motion
in my motion.
No,
What was the difference?
We're done?
Well, we don't have money for the
Make a motion
for the pay.
Mayor, move that we adjourn.
I second. Ray, second by Ms. Diaz, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is over at 6:30.
Not even, it's 9:33.
Oh,
that's why we were
I was,
looking at that clock.
Thank you.